Chapter 478. Small Tower Cave. Under the gnawing of the insect soldiers, the piled-up world demon corpses are decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In exchange, each 1-star insect soldier was promoted to a 2-star insect soldier. Chen Daoxian stood aside, silently watching the scene of the insect soldiers swallowing the evolution, secretly calculating the resources consumed by each insect soldier's evolution. In the end, when all 5,000 1-star insect soldiers evolved into 2-star insect soldiers, about half of the 4 million world demon corpses were consumed. See this scene. Chen Daoxian directly stopped the insect soldiers that continued to eat, and he planned to concentrate resources to create a group of higher-grade insect soldiers. 5,000 2-star insect soldiers, not to mention the 5th-level Daojun of the world realm. I am afraid that when the creator realm Daojun sees these 5,000 2-star insect soldiers, he will have to look at the wind and flee. But Chen Daoxian was not satisfied with this. He planned to concentrate resources and create a more powerful group of insect soldiers. Because for this group of insect soldiers, there is a team of higher-level insect soldiers to take the lead, which can better exert the power of the insect tide. It's like stalking your opponent. It is true that with 5,000 2-star insect soldiers, even Daojun of Creation Realm has to flee when he sees it, but the other party is desperate for his life, and Chen Daoxian probably can't take him. The same is true of Daojun on the 5th floor of the world realm. As long as he is not besieged by insect soldiers and caught in the worm tide, he can still escape if he runs for his life. But if there is a group of high-level insect soldiers and the insect soldiers, the effect will be very different. If the Daojun of Creation Realm encounters this group of insect soldiers again, not only can he be defeated but also can't escape. That is called despair. Just do it. Chen Daoxian directly separated 300 of the 5,000 2-star insect soldiers, and let them continue to eat the remaining world demon corpses. The speed at which 300 insect soldiers devoured the corpse of the world demon was undoubtedly much slower than that of 5,000 insect soldiers eating together. Fortunately, Chen Daoxian has a 3-month vacation, so he can wait slowly. But he was not idle. He simply sat cross-legged on the ground, and directly practiced the Shinhai chapter in seclusion. For Chen Daoxian, the practice of Shinhai Pian is the basis for dividing the mind, and the mind is the foundation for the practice of astral art. As the second biggest trump card in his hand, Chen Daoxian naturally did not dare to neglect. Although the means of controlling insects can also enhance his strength in the final analysis, it is still external force. And astral technique can not only improve his personal strength, but also an immortal technique that directly points to the avenue. Chen Daoxian must spend a lot of effort to cultivate. After all, it's about his path. Blink of an eye. A month has passed. With the help of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, Shinhai Pian can be practiced like a divine help. In just over a month, he felt that the scope of his divine sea had expanded significantly. In the past, most of Chen Daoxian's mental energy was used in Qigong practice, but now his cultivation has reached the primordial spirit stage, and his personal cultivation is gradually bound to the world he has opened up. A monk must not only cultivate himself, but also put more energy into the world he has created. And this allows monks who do not need to manage their own worlds to have a lot of time to practice other secret techniques to enhance their own strength. After the monk cultivated to the Yuanshan stage, the help of the forces under his command appeared to him. After the cultivator breaks through the Yuanshan stage, if there is no support behind him, the world he opens up has to rely on his own management, and there is no other energy to practice the secret method and change the magic weapon. The strength of Yuanshan Daojun, who is stronger than the big power, will also be more and more different. If there is a big power behind it, the monk can hand over the world he has created to his disciples to manage, such as the Tianzuan realm in Liangjiyuan, which is this business model. The Tianzuan realm of Liangjiyuan has developed so far, and it has gradually improved, although the population size of a single Tianzuan realm cannot be compared with that of Fengyun realm. However, the combined population of all the heavenly venerate realms in Liangjiyuan has far exceeded that of the Phoenix meteor realm, and these people have been carefully taught by the top forces. Unless they do not possess spiritual roots, their development prospects are far beyond that of the cultivators in the Phoenix meteor realm. All of these things were inquired bit by bit after Chen Daoxian came to Yaoguang City. For hundreds of thousands of years, the human race monks are not without achievements, although the human race monks are limited by the Phoenix meteor world and cannot break through to the realm of the Mahayana true immortal. But in these hundreds of thousands of years, their development of the major heavenly venerate realms has laid a very solid foundation for the human race. This is also the reason why Yao Ting wants to unify the real demon world and launch an all-out offensive against the Fengyun world. Because Yaoting discovered that in these hundreds of thousands of years, relying on the super formation left before the ascension of the real immortal in the Phoenix meteor realm, the human race cultivators have established a firm foothold in Liangjiuan bit by bit. No matter how much the real monsters in the real demon world consume the human monks, the human race can recruit enough manpower from each Tianzuan realm to replenish. Otherwise, relying on the cultivators within the Phoenix meteor realm, the human race would have been exterminated by the realm monsters long ago. Qin Daoxian opened his eyes and stood up. He found that the corpses of the world monsters in front of him had been eaten, and only some high-level Taoist-level world monster corpses were left. Qin Daoxian looked at the 300 insect soldiers again and found that they had undergone very obvious changes. Among them there are 200 insect soldiers, and their aura has climbed to the third layer Daojun level of the world, which is the 3-star insect soldier. The last 100 remaining insect soldiers are even more exaggerated. One by one they have all evolved into 5-star insect soldiers. When Qin Daoxian saw this scene he couldn't believe his eyes. 4 million world demon corpses cost more than 50 million fortune, and Qin Daoxian was not surprised to be able to give birth to 5-star insect soldiers, but he did not expect that 100 5-star insect soldiers could be born. This made Qin Daoxian a little unbelievable. You must know that the price of 100 5-star Taoist soldiers in the Chuanbao Pavilion will cost at least 10 billion. Even if Qin Daoxian takes out his entire net worth now, it is less than 1/10 of the 10 billion power of creation. But now he has 100 5-star insect soldiers. Looking at the 100 5-star insect soldiers in front of him, Qin Daoxian felt the sense of oppression emanating from them, and suddenly felt that he was surrounded by an unprecedented sense of security. Who said that the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiuan is dangerous? Stand out. Looking at his elite soldiers, Qin Daoxian just wanted to hurry up to the next mission so that he could kill the quartet. He didn't want to serve hard for 100 years on the battlefield outside the territory. Qin Daoxian also wanted to find Fei Qinxue as soon as possible, and then go to the appointment of the Sini sect leader. Looking at the remaining world demon corpses, Qin Daoxian did not continue to let the 300 insect soldiers continue to devour, but let the other 4,700 insect soldiers devour. After some devouring, among the 4,700 insect soldiers, another 100 insect soldiers evolved into 3-star insect soldiers. So far, Qin Daoxian has a total of 4,600 2-star insect soldiers, 300 3-star insect soldiers, and 100 5-star insect soldiers. Looking at the group of insect soldiers in front of him, Qin Daoxian suddenly felt that the world demon didn't seem so scary anymore. Just when he was excited. Outside the cave, Mo Heng came over again. With the consciousness swept away, Qin Daoxian pondered for a while and flew out from the small tower hole. Boom dash, opening the cave formation, Qin Daoxian flashed and flew straight out. What's the matter? Seeing Mo Heng looking for him many times, Qin Daoxian had a bad guess in his heart. Captain, something happened. Mo Heng explained everything about the cause and effect of the incident. It turned out that before Qin Daoxian retreated, an immortal city near Yaoguang City was besieged by the demons. In order to rescue this immortal city, Wuxia Tianzuan dispatched nearly half of Yaoguang City's troops. As a result, nearly half of the troops encountered a large demon wave on the way, and the entire army was wiped out. Hearing this news, Qin Daoxian paled in shock. Is it true? Yaoguang City has lost nearly half of its troops? Exactly. Mo Heng nodded hastily. If we hadn't just carried out the mission, this rescue operation might have included our 7th Brigade. Mo Heng's words were full of fears. Naturally, there is no need to say more about the result of the 7th Brigade encountering a large-scale demon wave. Those who can reach the scale of a large-scale demon tide generally have Tianzuan-level world demons sitting in the town. When encountering a demon tide of this level, no matter how many more teams there are, they will only be killed. Even if Qin Daoxian now has 5,000 powerful insect soldiers in his hands, he would not dare to say that he would be able to survive in a large demon tide. Because this is not a one-on-one fight with a heavenly venerate level world demon, the heavenly venerable level world demon has more subordinates than him. How can Qin Daoxian consume the large-scale demon tide, unless the insect soldiers in his hands reach the scale of hundreds of thousands? Looking at Mo Heng, who was terrified, Qin Daoxian frowned. As soon as he came to Yaoguang City, Qin Daoxian learned from Mo Heng that Yaoguang City was indestructible, and the heavenly venerate who was sitting in this city was a 7 tribulation heavenly venerate, and with Yaoguang City, I am afraid that even the average true immortal level world demon would come. Can't take this fairy city. That being the case, Why did the world demon still use the method of encircling the point to fight for reinforcements to consume Yaoguang City's troops? Unless. Just when Qin Daoxian thought of something in Yaoguang City, the bell rang loudly. The heaven-shaking bell is a pure yang immortal artifact with only one function, that is, to monitor the presence of unbounded demons within 3 billion miles of Yaoguang City. At this moment, Yaoguang City's alarm bell must have discovered the world demon. Boom, boom, boom. 9 tones. 9 voices, super large demon tide. Qin Daoxian and Mo Hung looked at each other with a trace of fear in their eyes. Especially Mo Hung, his tone trembled slightly. As soon as Yaoguang City lost nearly half of its troops, it encountered a super large demon wave. However, why did the demons succeed in their calculations? Wuha Tianzuan is not a fool. How could he lose his troops in vain? Unless someone deceived him. Qin Daoxian was confused. The super-large demon tide, even in the hundreds of thousands of years when the human race cultivators fought against the demons, only happened very few times. Because the super-large demon tide means that there are real fairy-level demons sitting in it. During the hundreds of thousands of years between human cultivators and world monsters, battles at the heavenly venerate level rarely broke out, let alone the real fairy-level world monsters end up in person. But this time, the real demons in the real demon world seem to be getting real. Could it be that the demon court has unified the real demon world, and is going to start a full-scale war with the human monks in Liangjiuan? Team. Captain, what do we do now? Mo Hung's tone was panic, and he couldn't tell that the other party was the true emperor nascent soul. It seems that monks are no better than mortals when faced with death threats. Qin Daoxian shook his head. Go and gather first. Hearing this, Mo Hung found the backbone and nodded, yes. After all, Mo Hung hurriedly went to integrate the team. When Qin Daoxian rushed to the military campgrounds, the monk army has almost assembled. Looking around, the entire barracks was covered in darkness, all monks above the nascent soul stage. However, after Qin Daoxian's spiritual knowledge was developed, he still found that there were a lot fewer sergeants, because a large area of the school field was vacant. If the sergeants gathered in the past, the school field should be full of talents. On the high platform, the Daijins on the 5th floor of the world realm looked solemn and stood beside a young man with a white face and no beards. Qin Daoxian only glanced at him and he felt like the world was spinning and he was out of his body. Stimulated by this, Qin Daoxian hurriedly lowered his head, not daring to look any further. Transcend the tribulation heavenly venerate. Qin Daoxian confirmed the identity of the other party at a glance, and only Tianzuan Du Jie can give Qin Daoxian this feeling. After a cultivator breaks through the tribulation period, if he wants to become a Mahayana true immortal, he has to go through 9 thunder tribulations successively. Every time a tribulation cultivator transcends a calamity, his lifespan can increase by 10,000 years, that is to say, a tribulation cultivator can only live for a maximum of 100,000 years, which is based on the premise that the opponent can survive 8 thunder tribulations. As for going through the 9th thunder calamity, there is not a single one in the entire Phoenix meteor world. In other words, the cultivation of this 5 rivers heavenly venerate is infinitely close to the ceiling of the Phoenix meteor realm. With such a powerful cultivator in charge, Yaoguang City is naturally impregnable. This is also why Mo Heng said that Yaoguang City is safe. But now, the seemingly impregnable Yaoguang City is about to become precarious. On the campus, the sergeants were talking a lot and they were all whispering to each other. Obviously, the super-large demon wave frightened the sergeants. Not to mention them, even the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm standing on the high platform is uneasy. True fairy world demon. This is the power that the entire human race cultivator can't reach. Although with the help of the super formation, the human race Tianzuan can use the major immortal cities to burst out with power comparable to the true immortals. But after all, it is only comparable to the true immortal, and it cannot leave Yaoguang City. In other words, even if Wuha Tianzuan can block the enemy's Tianzuan, the remaining world monsters must be dealt with by them. The so-called super-large demon tide refers to the demon tide formed by the aggregation of hundreds of millions of world demons. Qin Daoxian's 7th Brigade was exhausted from dealing with hundreds of thousands of demons before, and was out of breath. The demon tide with a scale of hundreds of millions, just based on their current strength of more than 20 brigades? Not to mention ordinary sergeants, even Qin Daoxian, who has the best mentality, feels overwhelmed. But Yaoguang City is a heavy city, and there are not many Acropolis around. Even if all the nearby Acropolis are dispatched to rescue, it is just to increase the ration for this super-large demon tide. Everyone. Just when everyone panicked, Wuha Tianzuan said, "This deity has reported to Tianzuan City, and Guangyuan realm is about to send troops to help. Don't panic, Yaoguang City, can't be lost." Few words, but the general's heart was stabilized. Chen Daoxian heard a new name in the mouth of the other party, Guanji. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 479. Popular recommendation. Mo Heng, where is this Guangyuan realm? Chen Daoxian calmly transmitted his voice to Mo Heng's divine sense beside him. Captain, you don't know Guangyuan realm? The expression on Mo Heng's face was quite surprised, but he seemed to think of something again and said through a voice transmission, "That's right, Captain, you are from Fengyun realm, so it's normal that you don't know Liangjiuan." Hear this. Chen Daoxian couldn't help frowning. Why do I think that the people from both Jiuan have a strange vision for Fengyun realm? Hearing this, Mo Heng said with a wry smile, "Captain, it's not that I have a strange vision, but that most of the monks from the Phoenix Meteor realm have a bad reputation after they came to the battlefield outside the territory." Poor reputation? How about a bad reputation law? Fear death. Mo Heng said sternly. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian didn't know what to say. Are the cultivators in the Fengyun realm afraid of death? Chen Daoxian didn't know, but thinking of the same group of monks who were forcibly recruited to serve in Liangjiuan, Chen Daoxian couldn't help feeling relieved. He clearly remembered that at that time, the Yuanshan Daijins of the Phoenix Meteor realm had the same ugly expressions as their dead relatives. Isn't this fear of death? Seeing that Chen Daoxian didn't speak, Mo Heng smiled and didn't say much. In fact, in his mind, is his captain Chen Daoxian not someone who is afraid of death? To annihilate the small demon tide in the district, Chen Daoxian actually still wore the 7th Order high-grade spirit armor and brought 100 Taoist soldiers to protect his own safety when the 7th Brigade was dispatched. The direct disciples of the top forces in Liangjiuan are not as cautious as Chen Daoxian, are they? In the end, it's not about being afraid of death. Although Mo Heng didn't say anything, from the eyes of the other party, Chen Daoxian knew that the reputation of cultivators in the Fengyun world being afraid of death could not be washed clean by him. But Chen Daoxian felt that there was nothing wrong with Mo Heng. I would like to ask all ethnic monks who is not afraid of death. If a monk was not afraid of death, he would not choose to embark on the path of cultivation. Isn't the purpose of cultivating immortals to live a long life and live with the heaven and earth? Mo Heng saw that Chen Daoxian's face didn't seem very good-looking, and then explained, Guangyuan realm is the most special one of the many heavenly venerate worlds in Liangjiuan. In other words, it is not the heavenly venerate world but a true immortal world. True immortal world? The world opened up by true immortals? Chen Daoxian was completely shocked at this time. There are still real immortals in Liangjiuan? Did something go wrong? Mo Heng's words completely changed his understanding of the Phoenix world. In his cognition, since the true immortals of the Phoenix Meteor realm ascended to the upper realm in the ancient times, there has never been a Mahayana true immortal born in the entire Phoenix Meteor realm. But why does Mo Heng say that Guangyuan realm is the real fairy realm? Just when Chen Daoxian was puzzled, Mo Heng continued, "That's right, it's the world opened up by true immortals." Speaking of this, Mo Heng's face was full of reverence. In the ancient times, almost all the true immortals of the Phoenix Meteor realm rose to the upper realm, except for this Guangyuan immortal venerable. You mean? Immortal venerable Guangyuan is a Mahayana true immortal left over from the ancient times? Chen Daoxian frowned. How is this possible? The cultivator's ascension to the upper realm does not depend on his own will at all. When the time comes, he must ascend unless he's dead. Mo Heng sighed. Guangyuan immortal venerable couldn't bear the countless creatures in the Phoenix Meteor realm being tortured by the demons, so he chose to sacrifice himself and unite in the Guangyuan realm that he opened up. Harmony. What a heavy word. But none of the Mahayana true immortals would choose to join the world he created, except immortal venerable Guangyuan. Because this means that immortal venerable Guangyuan gave up his physical body, mana, etc., and even gave up his sober consciousness, completely sinking into the avenues of Guangyuan realm. And all he did was to allow the human race to have a complete true immortal realm. For the first time in his life, Chen Daoxian was shocked. Since he was born in the Fengyun world, the people Chen Daoxian came into contact with, most of them are intriguing and selfish. Occasionally there are people with lofty personalities like his 13th uncle Chen Xianhe, who is just sacrificing himself for the family or sect. But Chen Daoxian has never met a person who is willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of the world. especially this person who has become a fairy. As long as immortal Venerable Guangyuan ascends to the upper realm, the fate of the human race in the Fengyun realm has nothing to do with him. But why did he? Qin Daoxian only felt that his heart was blocked. Qin Daoxian felt extremely ashamed compared to those monks in the Fengyun world who were fighting and attacking each other for their own personal gain. Because once he was one of them, and what's even more ridiculous is that he never felt that there was anything wrong with doing it. Looking at Qin Daoxian, Mo Heng said in a very firm tone, "Although Guangyuan Xinzuan died, his spirit has always inspired us descendants, except for the monks in Fengyun realm." Mo Heng said the last sentence without the slightest fear on his face. Although his cultivation base and strength are much lower than Qin Daoxian, this is how he evaluates the monks of Fengyun realm. Although Qin Daoxian was a cultivator in the Fengyun realm, for the first time he felt that Mo Heng could speak without any problems. He didn't ask why the heavenly venerates of Liangjiyuan didn't care about Fenjianji's stupid words. Before coming to Liangjiyuan, Qin Daoxian was still thinking about why the heavenly venerates of Liangjiyuan didn't care about the monks of Fenjianji. But when he stayed in Yaoguang City for a while, Qin Daoxian finally understood that it wasn't that he didn't care, but that he lacked skills. The real demon world is putting too much pressure on the heavenly venerates of the two realms Yuan. The heavenly venerates of Liangjiyuan are not enough to even sit in the great immortal cities left by the Mahayana true immortals in the ancient times. How can they be separated from the Phoenix meteor realm? For a long time, the way that Tianzuan city managed the Fengyun realm was only by promulgating the decrees to the major sects of the Fengyun realm. However, with the passage of time, the decree of Tianzuan city has become less and less restrictive to the Fengyun realm, especially when the major sects of the Fengyun realm see that the Tianzans of Liangjiyuan are out of surgery. This is also the reason why the number of Yuanshan Daojun of Fengyun realm who refuse to serve keeps rising. If it wasn't for Tianzuan city sending a creation realm Daojun to Liangjiyuan to shock the major sects once, I am afraid that this batch of Yuanshan Daojun will never be so many. While the two of them were talking, Wuha Tianzuan had already boosted his morale, and turned to Wei Zhongwu and said, "Zhongwu, the next defense issue of Yaoguang city is up to you to worry about." "Yes, Tianzuan." Wei Zhongwu bowed and said respectfully. After the command, Wuha Tianzan's figure gradually disappeared in front of everyone. Until this moment, Qin Daoxian and others discovered that this Wuha Tianzuan was just a mana incarnation. A mere incarnation of mana makes Qin Daoxian feel a fatal threat. It is worthy of the seven tribulations heavenly venerate, and his strength is too terrifying. But because of this move, the morale of everyone was high. A mana incarnation is so powerful, and if the deity of Wuha Tianzuan comes out, Yaoguang city must not fall so easily. Endless void. It is more than 2 billion miles away from Yaoguang city. The endless world monsters gathered together and looked around, forming a sea of world monsters. Located at the very core of the demon tide, a cloud chariot sits in the middle. On the cloud chariot, a world monster in the appearance of a human cultivator is leaning on the wide seat. "Emperor, for a small Yaoguang city, is it worth it?" Beside him, a golden rock world demon with a golden boy hole bowed and asked, "Peng, are you?" The world demon known as the Emperor shook his head. Although Yaoguang city is nothing, the Wuha Tianzuan who sits in Yaoguang city should not be underestimated. No matter how powerful he is, he's just a transcending tribulation heavenly venerate. As long as he dares to leave Yaoguang city, his disciples will be able to take him down. The Emperor smiled, "You really can't take him down." "Why?" Jinping world demon is quite dissatisfied. "According to the information I got, that Wuha Tianzuan has already crossed the 8th thunder calamity." "What?" When the Jinping realm demon heard this, his face changed suddenly. "Speaking of which, don't the human race monks need another main city Tianzuan?" When it comes to the main city Tianzuan, the Jinping world monster is biting his teeth. "Yeah, there is another main city Tianzuan." The Emperor shook his head. "If this goes on, when will we be able to take down the Phoenix meteor realm? The human race first has Guangyuan immortal venerable to sacrifice himself, leaving a perfect true fairyland for the human race. Afterwards, there will be an endless stream of heavenly venerates of 8 tribulations sitting in the main city. These heavenly venerates will not die, and there is no possibility of my true demon world winning the Phoenix meteor world. It's a pity that my real demon world is far less united than the human monks, otherwise the little Phoenix meteor realm would have been won long ago." Jinping waved his hand fiercely, his tone rather resentful. In terms of strength, the real demon world must far surpass the Phoenix meteor world. Most of the strength of the Phoenix meteor realm is concentrated in the heavenly venerate realm and the major immortal cities in Liangjiyuan. But among these monks, there is not even a Mahayana true immortal. If it weren't for the formations left by the real immortals of the human race in the ancient times, the human race monks would have been wiped out by the world monsters long ago. But with this formation, coupled with the continuous blood transfusions of Tianzuan realm and Guangyuan realm for the major immortal cities, the defense line of the human race monks is still strong, far from collapsing. The emperor glanced at Jin Peng and said with a smirk, "The emperor is a heroic man, and he will definitely be able to dominate the real demon world, and then lead his troops to take down the Phoenix meteor world. At that time I will be able to fly to the upper world and I can also get the favor of heaven and luck." When it comes to the illusory destiny of the heavens, the Jinping world demon is very excited, as if it is very sure that the destiny of the heavens does have something to do with it. The next day, Qin Daoxian was leading the sergeant to patrol Yaoguang City, and an old man in the Yuan-Ing period walked straight to Qin Daoxian. "Stop, comers." Seeing the old man, Mo Hung directly stood in front of Qin Daoxian. The old man tilted his head, glanced at Qin Daoxian and said to Mo Hung, "Please tell me, my fellow Taoist, I want to see Dao Jun." "Humph. My captain is someone you can see if you want. Get out of the way." Mo Hung was not polite. Although he and the old man are both nascent soul cultivators, Mo Hung, who has been in battle for a long time, is far from being able to match the strength of this old man who has been in business for many years. "Dao Jun. Dao Jun. If the old man asks for something, please have mercy on Dao Jun." Seeing that Mo Hung was unwilling to be accommodating, the old man simply shouted loudly. Seeing this scene, Qin Daoxian frowned and said to Mo Hung, "Let him come over." "Yes." Mo Hung replied, then glared at the old man and said, "Captain, let you go." Seeing this, the old man laughed with him and kept bowing to Mo Hung. Then the old man crossed Mo Hung and walked to Qin Daoxian. "You want to see me?" Only then did Qin Daoxian seriously look at the appearance of the old man in front of him. From the appearance, although this old man is a monk in the Yuan-Ing stage, his lifespan is approaching. Qin Daoxian estimates that the other party has less than 100 years of lifespan at most. 3,000 years of lifespan is only 100 years left. Speaking of which, although his cultivation base is far superior to the other party, he is much younger than the other party. But the old man was extraordinarily cautious in front of Qin Daoxian. Especially when he saw Qin Daoxian's young face, the envy in his eyes couldn't be concealed. "Fu Mingyu, chairman of the old Mingyu Chamber of Commerce, see Dao Jun." Saying that, the old man raised his hands above his head and greeted Qin Daoxian in a big way. "Don't be too polite." Qin Daoxian raised his hand. "What do you have to do to stop me in the street?" "This." "Dao Jun, can you move on and talk about it?" "Sorry, I have a defense so I can't follow." Qin Daoxian shook his head. "If you have anything to say, just say it here." Seeing that the old man was still concerned, Qin Daoxian waved his hand, and suddenly, a space cage completely separated the two of them from the surrounding environment. Looking at the solid space barrier, the old man finally breathed a sigh of relief. I saw him kneeling directly at Qin Daoxian and choked sadly, "Dao Jun, help. After all, don't stop kowtow." Seeing this, Qin Daoxian frowned and said displeasedly, "Get up and talk." "Yes." Fu Mingyu heard the dissatisfaction in Qin Daoxian's tone, and immediately got up, not daring to make trouble. He cautiously said, "I know that my request is a bit out of line, but you are the only one who can save me Mingyu Chamber of Commerce and my Fu family. As long as Dao Jun is willing to save the old family, the old man is willing to give all the property of the Mingyu Chamber of Commerce, and the old man is also willing to make an oath of the Dao, and let my Fu family serve Dao Jun forever." "Fu Dao Yu, what do you mean?" Qin Daoxian was a little puzzled. Fu Mingyu continued, "Dao Jun, now everyone in Yaoguang City knows that the demon tide is coming, and the only way to save the people in Yaoguang City is to let people hide in the world of Dao Jun above the third floor of the world." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian finally knew what the other party was planning. It turned out to be eyeing his Xianhuang realm and wanted to take refuge in his Xianhuang realm. Qin Daoxian laughed angrily at the old man in front of him and said, "Don't you know that the world created by the third layer Dao Jun of the world realm has no positioning ability? I'm in the city, what's the use of you hiding in the world I created? You shouldn't be begging me now, you should be begging the fifth layer Dao Jun of the world realm." After that, Qin Daoxian waved his hand and pushed the old man several feet away. The old man wanted to go up and say something, but Qin Daoxian ignored it and took Mo Hung and the others out of the street. Along the way, Mo Hung saw that Qin Daoxian's face was not good, and he looked like he was hesitating to speak. "If you have something to say, isn't it uncomfortable to hold back?" Hey, Hearing this, Emoheng smiled. Captain, don't be angry, these people are short-sighted, thinking that the world of the third-level Daojun of the world will be able to keep them. As everyone knows, even if Wuha Tianzuan wants to send someone away at this moment, I am afraid it is impossible to do. Oh. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was a little surprised. It stands to reason that when a primordial spirit cultivator reaches the 5th level of the world he opens up already has the ability to locate and teleport across boundaries. Unlike Qin Daoxian, whoever entered the Shenhuang realm can only come out from there. Seeing the puzzled look on Qin Daoxian's face, Emoheng explained, Captain, you forgot the source world projection that the world demon is best at. All the source world projections of the super-large demon tide are superimposed together, and Yaoguang City has a radius of dozens of times. The space within 100 million miles has been completely locked. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was startled. When he went out this morning he found that he couldn't teleport. He thought that Yaoguang City had opened the Forbidden Air formation. Now it seems that things are not so simple. Chapter 480? Hearing this news, Qin Daoxian couldn't help but feel heavy. Originally, he thought that even if he couldn't fight this battle, he could retreat strategically and would not be buried with Yaoguang City. But now it seems that even if he wants to go, he can't go. Along the way, everyone didn't speak anymore, and now. This chapter is working hard to update ING, please refresh to visit later. For the handsome guys and beauties accessed by mobile phone, please register first. Are you a member? Register as a member of this site and use the bookmark function of the bookshelf, which is more convenient to read if this chapter is nonsense like the author asking for tickets. Please skip to the next chapter. Please bookmark this page first so that you can read it later, otherwise you won't find this chapter later. https:// as a snake catcher, Suing has always been honest and diligent in his duty. Until this day he caught a different snake. On the first day of March, the land of China is full of incense, guarding various villages, towns, cities and prefectures. The statues of the gods woke up one after another and enjoyed the sacrifices of the people of Li Min. However, from this day on, the world has been in chaos. This book is also known as 996 Cultivation Immortals, 007 Cultivation of Truth, Internal Volume, Roll to Death, Nobody's TM Don't Want to Ascend, Good Pit. The pit is big and deep, help me up. When I was 35 years old my good news came, and the appearance of the great demon King Su, and so on. The devil of life, the devil of law, the devil of knowledge, the devil of fate, the devil of war. When all kinds of strange forces invaded, the world has since been divided into two distinct ends. Some people worship him as A and walk on the earth as a spokesperson. Some people choose to drink a glass of spirits and raise their shotguns on the scarlet night. Lord Hong, thousands of miles of deep seas are buried with secrets for thousands of years. The gods outside the desolate and empty places peep into the human race Kyushu, and the demons in the deep mountains and seas have caused natural disasters and catastrophe. However, when the river goes east, the blood of heroes cannot be washed away. The warrior holds the blade and protects the mountains and rivers for thousands of miles. Immortals control their swords and fight the nine heavens galaxy. Since Emperor Qingyang raised his army 6,000 years ago, this world is my human world. Yangzhou of the Dagon Empire, a place called Donghe County. A boy named Yunhong just finished reading this issue of Kyushu Immortals and Demons. Double opening for a short time, Hantian Emperor, with more than 3 million words is about to end. 100,000 years ago, when the human race reached its peak in the immortal demon continent, there were 9 holy places in total, each of which controlled the 9 inheritance celestial books. A sudden change in heaven and earth caused a devastating blow to the immortal demon continent. The human race suffered the heaviest losses. The 7 holy places were destroyed and the inheritance was cut off from then on. Only 2 of the 9 heavenly books remained. The young Ling Feng, who was born in the air, killed gods and demons, defied the 9 heavens, fought the reincarnation of the 6 realms, led the human race back to the peak and took charge of Hongmeng Avenue. When the country is about to perish, there must be evil spirits in the chaotic world, and when the country is about to perish, there must be real people who help the world. Mountains and rivers describe the corpse for thousands of miles, and the universe depicts the evil tiger for 100 years. Heaven and earth are ruthless, and I have a heart to survey the sky. Welcome to the world of immortals who are so in love. Qixing Camp, the half-demon boy, obtained the sacred scripture of the demon clan, turned into a wolf, swallowed the moon, raised a female ghost as a servant, turned into a vermilion bird to burn the sky and boiled the sea, set up a white tiger to kill the quartet, cultivated a dragon across the sky and sea, became a Kuanping, spread its wings for 9 days, devoured the heaven and earth, and turned into 1,000 demons, unify the 3,000 worlds, fight against the gods and masters, open up the universe, establish the foundation of immortality, wake up and take control of the world, and lie drunk on the knees of beautiful women. Written by an experienced author with tens of millions of characters, he uses 2 best-selling fantasy masterpieces to practice and polish the precipitation of the magnificent fantasy work, which ignites your youthful blood. When weakness becomes the original sin, when justice is distorted, when no one considers justice, repair my demon sword and kill Chen Lang Tian. You can be kind, but you must have your own edge. When no one speaks of justice, if no one is willing to speak of justice, then I would like to be a demon and a demon to fight the bright world, and this tangle in my left breast, double boss plus double pet plus slap in the face. Shuangwen, the daughter of the Qin family who was kidnapped since childhood, has been found. I heard that the daughter from the countryside looks ugly and behaves vulgarly. She is not qualified to even carry shoes for her sister Qin Yao. Biological parents. Yao Yao is a younger sister, you should let her be more. School grass brother. I only recognize Yao Yao as a younger sister. Young fiancé, I only have Yao Yao in my heart, stay away. Qin Yan? Give you face? Invisible boss Qin Yan said that she just wanted to be an ordinary person with a quiet life. However, the ideal is very beautiful and the strength is crazy. Black powder, beautiful and mindless, a vase. The next day, someone broke out that Qin Yan's full marks in all subjects for 1 week of admission. Black fans, only read dead books, no one is her friend. The next day, at a high-level dinner party, a group of super bosses who were unqualified by ordinary people lined up to show hospitality to Qin Yan. Black powder. The content of the chapters in the web version is slow. Please download the iRead app to read the latest content. Brother Shen. Shen Changqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who, everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Changqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Changqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Changqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into 2 occupations. One is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. The website is about to close. Download the iWa app to watch the latest content for free. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Changqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long. Shen Changqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time, the door to the attic was open and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Changqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with a faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but it quickly relaxed. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Zhenmosi. Please exit the transcoding page. Please download the iRead app to read the latest chapter. Pen Fun Pie provides you with the fastest family cultivation. My comprehension can be stored and updated. Chapter 480 is free to read with tacit understanding. https:// Chapter 481. Popular recommendation, 8 million. Qin Daoxian counted it, and the total number of world demon corpses recovered from the 100 team members exceeded 8 million, which was only half an hour's harvest. However, it was less than Qin Daoxian had expected. Because the world monsters that rushed towards Qin Daoxian and his team were not only the real monarch-level world monsters, but also a very small number of Taoist-level world monsters. When encountering Daojuan-level world monsters, Even if each team member has 22-star insect soldiers to protect themselves, it will inevitably slow down the speed of killing the world monsters. In this way, only 8 million world demons were killed in half an hour and it was over. Compared with Qin Daoxuan's team, the losses of other teams were much heavier. However, this also covered the results of Qin Daoxuan's team, and the timely outbreak of Wuha Tianzuan completely attracted the attention of the Yaoting Emperor. This allowed Qin Daoxian to successfully hide Qin Song. Qin Daoxian directed the killing of the insect soldiers while feeding the harvested 8 million world demon corpses into the remaining 2,500 two-star insect soldiers. So, within the days of the Gourd Cave, the corpses of the world demons piled up like a mountain. 2,500 two-star insect soldiers rushed towards the piled-up mountains of world demon corpses. As time passed by little, soon half a month passed. In the past half-month, Qin Daoxian was careful not to slaughter the world monsters on a large scale like at the beginning, but just cooperated with Wuha Tianzuan, and let the insect soldiers kill the world monsters while the other party was about to explode. After this operation, in just half a month, Qin Daoxian collected a total of nearly 30 million world demon corpses. According to the calculation that 4 million world monster corpses can promote 300 1-star insect soldiers to 5-star insect soldiers, these world monster corpses can approximately promote 2,250 insect soldiers under Qin Daoxian to 5-star insect soldiers. In addition to Qin Daoxuan's original 100 5-star insect soldiers, Qin Daoxian will have 2,350 5-star insect soldiers in his hands. However, with the promotion of 2-star worm soldiers to 5-star worm soldiers, Qin Daoxian suddenly changed his idea of continuing to promote 5-star worm soldiers after breaking through 2,000 5-star worm soldiers. He plans to promote some 5-star insect soldiers to 6-star. From the point of view of Taoist soldiers, 3-star Taoist soldiers, 5-star Taoist soldiers, and 6-star Taoist soldiers are all a huge threshold. Of course, as for the 7-star Taoist soldiers, that is, the Taoist soldiers with the same strength as the Tianzuan Dujia, Qin Daoxian has hardly heard of it. Maybe such Taoist soldiers exist, but he has never contacted them. 6-star Taoist soldiers are the ceiling of strength that Qin Daoxian has come into contact with. In Chuanbao Pavilion he has also seen such a Taoist soldier. The other party calls himself Yun Shuzi, and he is a rather funny person. When Qin Daoxian saw this Yun Shuzi, his strength was far inferior to what he is now. He was only a second-level true monarch of the world, but even now his personal strength was vastly different from the other party. It can be said that when the Taoist soldiers step into the 6-star realm, they will completely open the gap with the previous Taoist soldiers. If it is said that 5-star Taoist soldiers need hundreds of numbers to compete with 1 Jie Tianzuan, then 6-star Taoist soldiers only need a few numbers to be able to compete with 1 Jie Tianzuan. Compared with the strength gap between the 6-star Taoist soldiers and the 5-star Taoist soldiers, the gap between the 6-star Taoist soldiers and the 7-star Taoist soldiers, that is, the gap between the gods of robbery is not that big. Qin Daoxian wanted to pile up a group of 6-star insect soldiers with the help of this massive world demon corpse. In theory it was not impossible. Once Qin Daoxuan's plan is successful, he will have more confidence to fight against this demonic tide. Compared with the 5-star insect soldiers, it is better to let a group of 6-star insect soldiers deal with the heavenly venerate level monster. At that time, it will be time for their Yaoguang city to counterattack. As soon as he thought of this, Qin Daoxian was more motivated and did it. Give up the promotion of 5-star insect soldiers, and go all out to promote 100 5-star insect soldiers to 6-star. The world demon sighed. On the cloud carriage, the demon court emperor sat quietly, looking at Yaoguang city standing in the distance and asked, "Peng'er, how many times has Wuha Tianzuan manipulated Yaoguang city to erupt?" Heard, Jinping world demon was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly said, "Reporting to the master he seems to have erupted hundreds of times. It's really resistant." The demon court emperor nodded. "Step up the rhythm of the attack." "Yes." The Jinping world demon surrendered, and immediately, it seemed to think of something and said, "Master, our force consumption during this period is a bit large." Who knows that the Yaoting emperor waved his hand and didn't care. Wuha Tianzuan broke out so desperately, "A little damage is normal, our troops are not lost in vain, their current sacrifices are for us next." Victory foreshadows. Peng'er, you must remember that the leader of the army should not be lenient. This is a taboo for leading soldiers to fight. Take care of your disciples. Jinping world demon hurriedly bowed, not daring to question any more, and immediately ordered the world demon to step up the offensive. Above Yaoguang city, Mo Heng quickly approached Qin Daoxian, While collecting the corpses of the world monsters, he said, "Captain, are these world monsters crazy? Shall we order the insect soldiers to attack with all their strength?" In order for his team members to better control the battlefield situation, Qin Daoxian temporarily handed over the command of the insect soldiers to the team members. Therefore Mo Hungfei came over to ask. Not to mention Mo Hung, Qin Daoxian also felt that the attacking rhythm of these insect soldiers had accelerated. Could it be? Is it the world demon who discovered his little move? Qin Daoxian secretly said. Then he shook his head again. Impossible. If the world demon party discovers his small actions, it will definitely not just dispatch these low-level world demons to consume them, but directly launch a general attack. Because if it drags on further, Qin Daoxian will probably get rid of the 6-star Taoist soldiers. At that time, it is still a matter of two who will attack who. Don't expose the killing speed of the insect soldiers, just let them protect your safety. Qin Daoxian still did not act rashly. Collecting the corpses of the world demon is no longer the first priority. What Qin Daoxian needs to do most is to hold on. As long as the situation is stabilized and not collapsed, the strength he has accumulated will become stronger and stronger as time goes on. By then, the war will be taken over by him. Now all he has to do is delay time. In fact, the reason why Wuhe Tianzuan helped Qin Daoxian to delay is not only to put all his hopes on him, but the real purpose of Wuhe Tianzan's delay is to wait for reinforcements from Guangyuan realm. Now the entire Liangjiyuan can rescue them, only the reinforcements from Guangjiwanji. In addition, even if the army of the main city comes to help, it is useless. The defensive power of the main city is strong, but it is limited to within the main city. Once the Du Jie Tianzuan who guards the main city leaves the main city, he is only a 8th tribulation Tianzuan. How to rescue? This is also the biggest disadvantage of the human race monks. Although they were able to exert the power of the true immortals with the help of the formations and the major immortal cities left by the ancient real immortals, this power is only limited to the immortal city. Once they left Xianqing, they were immediately beaten back to their original shape, and their strength was greatly reduced. This is also the reason why Tianzuan Du Jie will not leave Xianqing easily. Every heavenly transcending tribulation leaving the immortal city is the top secret of the human race. Generally, except for them, they don't know anything. Otherwise, once the world demon forces know about it, the other party will send a true immortal level world demon to intercept it. The human race's defensive power is weaker for each lesser human race. In the end, the entire human race's defense line in the two realms will be an avalanche, which is irreversible. In fact, the human race has the existence of the true immortal realm of Guangyuan realm, and heavenly venerate transcends tribulation is not lacking. What the human race lacks the most is the true immortal combat power that leaves the immortal city range. There are also a few monks in the entire human race who can have true immortal combat power during the tribulation transcendence period, but not many, and they basically sit in the Guangyuan realm of the inner territory. Wuhe Tianzuan asked Guangjiwanji for help, which was the reason. Only the true immortal level combat power of Guangyuan realm will lead the troops to solve the siege of Yaoguang city this time. At this moment, Wuhe Tianzuan felt extremely heavy. This is just a mere real immortal level world demon, which has forced him to such a desperate situation. Once the real demon world is unified by the demon court, with the background of the real demon world, how many real immortal level world demons should be born in hundreds of thousands of years? He didn't know if the real monsters in the real demon world had regained their strength in the ancient times. If the other party has recovered the strength of the ancient times, everything that the human race has adhered to over the years will be meaningless. After all, the human monks in the ancient times were so powerful, and they did not defeat the world monsters, not to mention the current human monks. On the city wall of Yaoguang City, Qin Daoxian no longer pays attention to the slaughter of the world demon by the insect soldiers, and now he is all focused on the promoted 6-star insect soldiers. It's just that as the strength of these 100 5-star insect soldiers became stronger and stronger, the speed at which they devoured the corpses of the world monsters became faster and faster, but they were not promoted to 6-star insect soldiers. This made Qin Daoxian doubt for a while whether it was because the strength of these world monsters was too weak that the insect soldiers had not been promoted for a long time. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian simply moved the corpse mountain formed by the world demon with his magic power. Distinguish the corpse of the Daojuan level world demon from the corpse of the real monarch level world demon, and then let the 5-star insect soldier devour the corpse of the Daojuan level world demon. Sure enough, after doing so, the effect was immediate. I saw that the 5-star insect soldier's body in the gourd cave became more and more intense, and the breath continued to rise. Qin Daoxian stared at the 5-star insect soldier with the strongest breath. He had a hunch that this insect soldier was about to be promoted. Just when Qin Daoxian thought about it, a violent light erupted on the insect soldier, and then the insect soldier turned into a glowing insect pupae. Qin Daoxian was stunned when he saw the golden light-emitting worm pupae in front of him. Before the promotion of insect soldiers, this situation has never happened. How can there be such a big change in the promotion of 6-star insect soldiers this time? But Qin Daoxian didn't have time to think. All the worm soldiers who devoured enough corpses of Daojun-level world demons turned into worms one after another. Qin Daoxian saw this scene and didn't know when it was good or bad. Because he is not sure, how much time will it take for these 5-star insect soldiers to be promoted to 6-star? Before, he dared to take a risk to promote, based on the fact that even if the promotion failed, he could obtain 100 more powerful 5-star insect soldiers, but now, it is equivalent to losing 100 powerful 5-star insect soldiers. With this increase or decrease, Qin Daoxian's loss will be huge. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian didn't dare to promote the 6-star insect soldier anymore, but continued to promote the 2-star insect soldier to 5-star. He has experience in this process and there will be no accidents. Just when Qin Daoxian focused on cultivating insect soldiers, the world demon finally found out that something was wrong. On the cloud, Jinpeng world demon found the emperor Yaoting again and said, "Master, something is wrong." "What's wrong?" "Our troops have been severely damaged." Hearing his apprentice repeating his old tune, the demon court emperor was a little dissatisfied and said, "How much did you lose?" "Already lost nearly half of the troops." "What?" This time the demon clan emperor was startled. He didn't pay attention to Wuha Tianzuan, and directly covered the entire battlefield with the source world projection. As a result, he found that, as Jinpeng said, the demon side of them lost nearly half of their troops. It's only been less than a month, how could this be? Even if it ordered the following to increase the offensive, it would not lose so many troops. Thinking of this, he used the source world projection to carefully check the situation on the battlefield. Finally, the demon clan emperor found something wrong in the area defended by Qin Daoxian. "Humph, there are more than 200 2-star Taoist soldiers, so that's the case." The demon court emperor snorted coldly, then pointed in the direction of Qin Daoxian and said, "Bring a few divine generals to destroy them yourself." Jinpeng world demon followed the emperor's teacher's finger and sure enough he saw Qin Daoxian's special team, killing the world demon at a very fast speed. This time it doesn't know what the problem is. The Jinpeng world demon immediately surrendered and said, "Yes, master." After that, he immediately called the 3 heavenly venerate level demons, and then moved towards the position of Qin Daoxian's team and killed them. Watching his disciples leave, the demon court emperor muttered, "What a good Wuha Tianzuan who has been covering for the people below. He has a good plan and a good plan. Unfortunately, no matter how strong the plan is, it is still a small way." The demon court emperor split his mouth and laughed wantonly. On Yaoguang City, Qin Daoxian's expression changed immediately when he saw the 4 terrifying world monsters rushing towards him. Such a breath. Heavenly venerable world demon. Qin Daoxian was immediately frightened, not to mention the strength of the insect soldiers under him, but his own strength was far worse than that of Tianzuan. Qin Daoxian reckoned that now he can take one move or two from Du Jie Tianzhen's hand. The most terrible thing is that the demon court emperor who has never shot. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian couldn't care less and immediately said to Wuha Tianzuan, "Heavenly Zun, help." Of course, Wuha Tianzuan also paid attention to Qin Daoxian's situation here. Just when he was about to help, the demon court emperor on the side of the world demon finally moved. I saw his source world projection slam towards Wuha Tianzuan, and the entire Yaoguang city swayed under the suppression of this terrifying and strange force. "Fellow Taoist Wuha, it's not appropriate for you and me to end when the juniors are fighting, right?" Being stared at by this demon court emperor, Wuha Tianzuan couldn't make a move at all. Seeing this, Qin Daoxian was completely relieved. Although he asked Wuha Tianzuan for help, in fact he just wanted the other party to hold back the only true immortal level combat power on the world demon side. As for these 4 heavenly venerate world demons, he naturally has a way to deal with them. I saw Qin Daoxian took out the gourd magic weapon from his waist and slowly opened it. Chapter 482. Be careful. Before Qin Daoxian could take action, Wei Zhongwu, who was not far away, saw 4 heavenly venerate level monsters rushing towards Qin Daoxian, flew straight towards Qin Daoxian's position, and stopped in front of Qin Daoxian. Looking at the giant over 5,000 feet tall in front of him, Qin Daoxian felt complicated for a while. The Jinpeng demon on the opposite side saw that a Taoist on the 5th floor of the world realm dared to stand in front of Qin Daoxian, and smiled contemptuously, beyond one's own abilities. Say, the Jinpeng world monster directly showed its body, and a giant Jinpeng with a wingspan of more than 10,000 feet appeared in front of everyone. With the appearance of this Jinpeng world monster, the momentum of the entire battlefield was seized, which can be described as much attention. Since you want to die, this deity will fulfill you. Jinpengji's mouth spit out people's words. Immediately, the Jinpeng world demon waved its wings violently, and a huge space storm appeared in front of the Jinpeng world demon. Go! The tornado formed by the space storm slammed into the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City, making a loud bang. Afterwards, the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City shook violently. When Wuha Tianzuan saw this scene, his face became even heavier. While he had to guard against the Demon Court Emperor, he also had to maintain the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City, which was really powerless. During this time, if he hadn't repeatedly helped the monk army, Yaoguang City's defense line would have collapsed long ago. Even so, he couldn't support it for long with his mana. Abandoning the city and fleeing is a dead end. Sticking to Yaoguang City, the vitality is also very slim. Wuha Tianzuan can only hope that the reinforcements from Guangyuan realm will arrive soon. Boom! A loud bang broke out again. The Jinpeng realm demon looked at the formation light curtain coldly and said, "I see how long your turtle shell will last." Having said that, he not only attacked himself, but also ordered the 3 heavenly venerate world demons who came with him to attack. As the offensive of the 4 heavenly venerate level world monsters became more and more fierce, the other world monsters retreated and stopped the offensive. There is no way. The power of the 4 heavenly venerates bursting together is too fierce. If the other world demon army insists on attacking, it will inevitably be affected, and the world demon side will suffer heavy losses. This kind of stupid thing, the world demon will naturally not do it. The defenders of Yaoguang City also all retreated to the light curtain of the formation, and did not dare to use the formation to meet the enemy. Nonsense. A total of 4 heavenly venerate world demons attacked, and even Wuha heavenly venerate did not dare to go out rashly. This moment, the eyes of the human cultivator and the world monsters were all focused on the 4 heavenly ranked world monsters. Behind the Jinpeng world demon, tens of millions of world demons stood in the void, and their mouths burst out with shocking shouts. The Jinpeng god will be invincible. The Jinpeng god will be invincible. The Jinpeng god will be invincible. The shouts rose from wave to wave, and the guards in Yaoguang City saw this scene. All their faces turned pale, and even the guards who served for the first time were so frightened that they could not even stand on their feet. In front of Qin Daoxian, Wei Zonghua's face was ashen. He turned his head to look at Qin Daoxian, glared at him and said, "Look at what you have done. Why did you anger the world demon? Don't you know that Tianzuan has been delaying time just to wait for reinforcements? You are good, forcing the world demon to fight us directly." No wonder Wei Zhongwu was angry. The world demon and Yao Angcheng were well aware of each other's thoughts. The world demon wanted to consume the mana of Wuha Tianzuan, and even had the intention of encircling points for reinforcements, and wanted to eliminate the reinforcements of Guangyuan realm, while Wuha Tianzuan wanted to delay time and wait for the arrival of reinforcements to relieve the siege of Yaoguang City. Therefore, the top forces on both sides have not been put into the battlefield. But Qin Daoxian was better. Relying on the 2-star insect soldier in his hand, he made a big killing in the world demon tide, and finally angered the world demon side, so that the other party launched a decisive battle in advance. Hearing Captain Weiss scolding, Qin Daoxian was not angry. In fact, from the fact that the other party stopped in front of him at a critical moment, Qin Daoxian knew that this Captain Wei was not as ruthless as he showed. People. At the beginning, the 7th Brigade he led was almost wiped out, perhaps not as simple as he said. Of course, now is not the time to struggle with this. Qin Daoxian crossed Wei Zhongwu and walked towards the formation light curtain. Seeing this, Wei Zhongwu stopped Qin Daoxian abruptly and said angrily, "What are you doing? Are you courting death?" Wei Zhongwu seemed to be brought by Qin Daoxian's anger. "I have brought soldiers for so long, and I have not seen you rush to court death with a few words of scolding like this. Do you want to apologize with death? I tell you, dream." Wei Zhongwu gasped, "You have to live for Lao Tzu, live well and continue to kill these world monsters. Did you hear that?" Wei Zhongwu almost roared at Qin Daoxian. Qin Daoxian looked at the emotional Wei Zhongwu, and there was a warm current in his heart. He firmly pushed aside Wei Zonghua's sturdy arm and said, "Captain, I am going to kill the enemy, not to die." "Kill the enemy you kill?" Before he finished speaking, Qin Daoxian actually passed through the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City. Wei Zhongwu was stunned when he saw this scene. He turned his head directly to look at Wuha Tianzuan. His eyes were full of disbelief and roared, "Tianzuan! Why let him die? You shut up." Wuha Tianzuan really didn't have the energy to explain, so he waved his hand and threw out a ban, sealing Wei Zhongwu's mouth. Seeing Qin Daoxian walking out of the light curtain of the Yaoguang City formation, all the monks in Yaoguang City were stunned. "Who is that? I don't know, I haven't heard of it. He should be the defense force of Yaoguang City, but I have never seen him. Maybe it's a new sergeant." In recent years, the battle with the world demon has become more frequent, and the sergeant's replacement is too fast. When the old man in Yaoguang City talked about this topic, there was an unstoppable sadness in his tone. The monks of the human race have relied on the fairy city built by the ancient real immortals to defend the world monsters for hundreds of thousands of years, and the monks who have sacrificed are more than hundreds of millions. His name is Qin Daoxian. At this time, an old man in a brocade robe opened his mouth and said, "Oh, Brother Mingyu, do you recognize this person?" "Recognize?" Fu Mingyu nodded with complicated eyes. "Of course I recognize it." Jin Peng and other world monsters stopped their offensive when they saw Qin Daoxian walking out of the Yaoguang City formation light curtain. Standing 3,000 feet tall, Qin Daoxian looked very small in front of the Jinpeng realm demon. Not to mention that next to the Jinpeng world demon, there are still 3 heavenly venerable world demons who are not much weaker than it. Boy, have courage. Jinpeng world demon glanced at the 2002-star insect soldiers in the light curtain of the formation, and said with a smile, "Why don't you bring your Taoist soldiers out, then you can at least have a chance to fight." "Unnecessary," Qin Daoxian shook his head and said word by word, "Beat you I have better." Hearing this, the Jinpeng realm demon looked stunned for a moment, and immediately said in anger, "Be ashamed of your words, give me death." After all, another space storm slammed towards Qin Daoxian. Boom! A violent space storm bombarded Qin Daoxian's position. This attack definitely surpasses the level of ordinary Tianzuan. If he hits Qin Daoxian directly, he will only have one end, that is, his body will be shattered and his body will be destroyed. But when the space storm dissipated, a 5-star insect soldier with a dazzling golden glow built a golden barrier to block Qin Daoxian. Qin Daoxian, who was behind the golden barrier, was unscathed. 5-star Taoist soldier. The face of the Jinpeng world demon changed suddenly, and it was afraid that it was not Qin Daoxian who took out the 5-star insect soldiers, but the number of 5-star insect soldiers in the opponent's hands. At a glance, Qin Daoxian had more than 2,000 5-star insect soldiers in front of him. This power has far surpassed that of the 4 heavenly venerate world demons joining forces. Generally speaking, 100 5-star insect soldiers can compete with the heavenly lord of 1 tribulation. 2,000 5-star worm soldiers are at least equivalent to 21 tribulation heavenly venerate joining forces, and even more terrifying because it is difficult for heavenly venerate and heavenly venerate to cooperate as well as worm soldiers. Seeing this scene, Jinpeng world demon's courage instantly disappeared. Just as he was about to order to retreat, Qin Daoxian's insect soldiers rushed towards them. The speed of more than 2,000 5-star insect soldiers is so fast, and the distance between Qin Daoxian and the other party is too close. In the blink of an eye, the 4 heavenly venerate world demons were surrounded by a swarm of insects. "Get out of here." The Jinpeng world demon with a wingspan of more than 10,000 feet was besieged by the 5-star insect soldiers, and naturally he would not be captured. Besides, although these worm soldiers are strong, they are far inferior to the Jinpeng world monster one-on-one. Although the Jinpeng world monster admits that it is invincible, it still has full confidence in breaking out of the encirclement. I saw the golden wings on its wings blazing out one by one, turning into streaks of golden light, blazing towards the insect soldiers besieging it. Clang clang. The golden light hit the golden insect soldier, making a crisp sound of metal collision, and the insect soldier who was besieging it was beaten backwards. Seeing this, Jinpeng world demon looked happy and even wanted to leave. Humph. What about 500 5-star insect soldiers wanting to kill me dreaming? Just when the Jinpeng world demon was proud, the 500 insect soldiers besieging another world demon gave up their original goal and flew towards the Jinpeng world demon. Seeing this, the heavenly venerate world demon who was besieged to the point of death couldn't care about the other companions, and fled back with a flash of light. Crocodile wizard. When the Jinpeng world demon saw his companion abandon it, his eyes were split open, and his golden pupils were full of hatred and anger. But its anger was of no help to the predicament he was in at the moment, and the 500 5-star insect soldiers blocked him again, and then the 500 5-star insect soldiers who were knocked away by him flew back again. This time, the number of insect soldiers besieging the Jinpeng world demon suddenly rose to 1,000. 1,000 5-star insect soldiers besieged, and the real combat power is stronger than 1,000 world realm 5th layer Taoists together. Because the cooperation of the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm is, no matter how tacit understanding it is, it can't compare to the insect soldiers. In the distance, Yaoting Emperor sure saw that his disciple was besieged by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers, and his face changed suddenly. He slapped Yun Ran abruptly, and just as he was about to help, a familiar word suddenly came from his ear. "Fellow Taoist, the younger generation is fighting, it's not appropriate for you and me to end, right?" In Yaoguang City, Wuha Tianzuan looked at each other with a smile. Across the distant void, Yaoting Emperor's eyes collided with Wuha Tianzuan. He knew that if he made a move he would definitely be stopped by Wuha Tianzuan, but if he wanted to watch his disciples being eaten up by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers, he couldn't accept it. Thinking of this, Yaoting Emperor sure took out a small flag and slammed it towards Qin Daoxian. Immediately 2 chains, one black and one white, stretched out from the void and attacked Qin Daoxian. On the black and white chains, there is a strong fluctuation of pure yang aura. Pure yang immortal artifact. Wuha Tianzan's face was solemn. It turned out to be a pure yang fairy weapon of a human cultivator. Although world monsters can use magic tools, world monsters themselves are not good at refining tools, so world monsters who use high-level magic tools are very rare, let alone use pure yang fairy weapons. But at this moment, the Demon Court Emperor Master took out a pure yang immortal artifact. Wuha Tianzuan stared at the black and white chains, and quickly recognized the origin of the 2 chains. If he remembers it correctly, this is a pure yang fairy weapon left by a true immortal who fell in the ancient times, called the Yin-Yang Erqi banner. Qin Daoxian also saw the 2 chains attacking him, and he knew in his heart that with his current strength, he couldn't stop the 2 chains, unless he asked all the 5-star insect soldiers to come back to help. But in this way the remaining 3 heavenly venerable world demons all ran away. He has endured for so long, and after finally encountering this God-given opportunity, he naturally does not want to waste it. Humph. Wuha Tianzuan naturally wouldn't sit and watch the other side interfere with Qin Daoxian's battle, only to see Yaoguang City, under his control, slammed into the black and white chains. This? Qin Daoxian raised his head subconsciously, and suddenly saw an immortal city lying in front of him, completely blocking the Demon Court Emperor from the battlefield between him and the 3 heavenly venerate world demons. Clang! With a loud noise, the chains formed by Yin and Yang were directly blocked by Yaoguang City. Good. What a Wuha Tianzuan! What a Yaoguang Xianqing! When the Yaoting Emperor saw Yaoguang City standing in front of him, his eyebrows trembled with anger. If it weren't for this Yaoguang City, he would have killed Wuha Tianzuan long ago, and it would have been difficult for him to entangle with a mere 7 tribulations Tianzuan for so long. But these immortal cities were originally one of the strongest cards left by the ancient true immortals of the Phoenix Meteor Realm to the cultivators of the future generations of the Phoenix Meteor Realm. It was not that easy for the real demon world to capture them easily. If it weren't for this, the human race cultivator would not be able to stand still with the world demon for hundreds of thousands of years. Master, save me. Being besieged by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers, the Jinpeng world demon finally couldn't stand it anymore. In terms of strength, he is only at the level of Heavenly Venerate 2 or 3 tribulations, which is far worse than Heavenly Venerate 5 rivers. Among the many gods in the demon court, the Jinpeng world monster's status is not high. It can be responsible for commanding the world monster army in this battle, more because it has a true immortal level master. Fellow Taoist Wuha, let go of my disciple, I would like to leave here. How? Seeing his disciple calling for help, the Demon Court Emperor finally gave in. Although he has many disciples, it is not an easy task to train a heavenly venerate disciple. Although many monks are powerful, their disciples are not very promising. Speaking of which, the Demon Court Emperor was lucky, and Jinpeng God made this heavenly venerable world demon as his disciple. Therefore, this Demon Court Emperor must not want to lose this disciple. Hearing this condition, Wuha Tianzuan only spit out 2 words, dream. You wanna die. The Yaoting Emperor was completely enraged, and waving the Yin and Yang Qi flags, he rushed towards Yaoguang City. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 483. Boom. The black and white yang and yang qi turned into chains, and slapped Yaoguang City fiercely, making Yaoguang City tremble. In Yaoguang City, Wuha Tianzhen's face became extremely ugly as the black and white chains were beaten. Sure enough, it's still too hard, Wuha Tianzhen secretly said. The true immortal level world demon holds the pure yang immortal artifact. Compared with his existence, who barely achieves true immortal combat power with the help of the formation in Yaoguang City, he is still significantly stronger, not to mention that he has been consumed too much before. Mana. Wuha Tianzhen estimated that he could only take up to 10 such attacks. After 10 times, Yaoguang City will probably be completely out of control. But, at this moment he has no choice but to fight with all his strength. Bring it on. Wuha Tianzhen's eyes were like electricity, piercing through the void and collided with the Yaoting Emperor. Humph. You really can't hold it anymore. The Demon Court Emperor sneered and tapped the Yin Yang Qi banner with his finger again. Suddenly 2 more chains stretched out from the void. The 4 giant chains seemed to extend infinitely, directly locking the entire Yaoguang City. Inside Yaoguang City, countless low-level cultivators saw the 4 huge chains outside the light curtain of the formation, and all uttered inexplicable screams of horror. What is this? It's the magic of the world demon. Can Wuha Tianzhen win? Don't be silly. With the help of Yaoguang City, Wuha Tianzhen's strength is comparable to that of a true immortal. How could he lose? Just when Yaoguang City was in chaos, the battle between Qin Daoxian and the 3 heavenly venerate world demons was finally determined. Even if you kill me, my master will never let you go. Finally, the Jinping world demon took the lead and couldn't hold it anymore. To be besieged by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers who are not afraid of death, even the heavenly venerate transcends tribulation, is unbearable. You must know that each of these 1,000 5-star insect soldiers is no weaker than their 7th team leader Wei Zhongwu in terms of individual strength. To be honest, it was a bit unexpected for Qin Daoxian to be able to hold the Jinping world demon. According to his estimation, the Jinping world demon should not last long. Qin Daoxian can only attribute it to the fact that he underestimated the strength of the heavenly venerate world demon. You will definitely die, you will definitely. The Jinping world monster wailed, and a 5-star insect soldier broke through its weakest defense, and then got into its brain. Immediately afterwards, one after another, the insect soldiers drilled in from the wound. Immediately, the wailing sound of the Jinping world demon became more and more desolate. It struggled desperately and rampaged, but it was of no avail under the suppression of the remaining hundreds of 5-star insect soldiers. In the end, the wailing of the Jinping world demon gradually ceased. At this point, this heavenly venerate world demon finally died in the hands of Qin Daoxian. Qin Daoxian was in a trance when he saw a heavenly venerate world demon being besieged to death by his insect soldiers. Although this world monster was not killed by his own hands, it seems that there is not much difference between being killed by the insect soldiers under his control and being killed by himself. After all, this can be counted as part of his strength, even though he borrowed external force. When the remaining 2 world demons saw that Jinping God was about to die in front of them, their expressions suddenly became extremely desperate. Master, help! Master, help! The 2 world demons screamed desperately, and their voices penetrated the void and entered the ears of the Yaoting Emperor. Punger is dead, Punger is dead. The Yaoting Emperor and teacher looked crazy. I want you to be buried with my disciples. Die for me. Die for me. Boom. In the void, one after another black and white chains stretched out from the void. Under the count, there were a total of 6 black, 6 white and 12 chains. As soon as these giant chains stretched out from the void, they were tied to Yaoguang City, squeezing the entire Yaoguang City, and the formation light curtain outside the city would shatter at any time. In Yaoguang City, the pale-faced Wuha Tianzhen was relieved, and his face became extremely relaxed. The Demon Court Emperor, who was madly attacking, also found something wrong. He turned his head and looked into the depths of the void. I saw that a light boat quickly flew towards the 2 sides of the war. At this moment, billions of miles around are all imprisoned by the world demon in Yaoguang City. It stands to reason that unless there is power beyond Yaoguang City and the true immortal level world demon, it is absolutely impossible to teleport in this area. Just when the light boat attracted the attention of all the top powerhouses on both sides, Qin Daoxian commanded the insect soldiers with all his strength, and killed the remaining 2 heavenly venerate world monsters one by one on the spot. So far, a total of 3 heavenly venerate world demons have died in his hands in this battle. In terms of record, Qin Daoxian is number 1. After solving the battle here, Qin Daoxian also turned his attention to the depths of the void. I saw a tribulation cultivator carrying silver metal wings and holding a silver spear weapon, stepping on a light boat and heading straight for the Demon Court Emperor. This momentum. Qin Daoxian didn't know how to describe it. His cultivation base is still shallow, but through pure yang energy, he can still distinguish between the heavenly transcending tribulation heavenly venerate and the Mahayana true immortal. Obviously, this galloping monk is not a Mahayana true immortal, but a transcending tribulation heavenly venerate. A mere robbery Tianzuan, but dared to take action on a true immortal level world demon. What? Qin Daoxian was very puzzled. But soon he knew why the other party was. When the Demon Court Emperor saw the heavenly venerate Du Jie who stabbed him with a gun, his face became more serious than before. Next moment, the Demon Court Emperor directly displayed a demon body, a golden rock with a wingspan of over 100,000 zhang. It was also a Jinpeng world monster. No wonder the Jinpeng world monster died just now. The Demon Court Emperor was so angry. It turned out that the one who died was not only its disciple, but also its ethnicity. But the Du Jie Tianzuan who was carrying silver wings, did not display his Dharma image, but continued to stab at the Jinpeng realm demon with a wingspan of 100,000 zhang. Against the background of the endless void, the two are like the difference between a demon and an ant. But at this moment, no one or world demon dared to underestimate this ant. On the silver spear, a cold light suddenly appeared, and then this cold light turned into a light, which went straight through the wings of this golden winged Dupeng with a wingspan of more than 100,000 zhang. In terms of size, even the silver spears can't compare to a speck of dust on this golden winged Dupeng with a wingspan of 100,000 feet. But it was this dust that penetrated the body of the golden winged Dupeng and left a terrifying gap on it. Qin Daoxian's visual observation shows that the gap is 1,000 feet in diameter. Even if it is placed on this golden winged Dupeng with a wingspan of 100,000 feet, it is still a big wound. But the Demon Court Emperor seemed to be fine, and the wound healed in an instant. When Qin Daoxian saw this, his expression became heavy. Although the immortal body is strong, it also depends on the opponent. Generally, the attacks of monks of the same rank cannot be resisted directly by the indestructible real body. But this Demon Court Emperor obviously relied on the demon body to be tyrannical and directly resist the damage of the silver spear cultivator. Silver Wing Tianzuan. The Yaoting Emperor glanced at the wound that had recovered as before and said with a sneer, I have long heard that there are several transcendental Jie Tianzuan who have reached the threshold of true immortals in the Guangyuan realm, and I am finally fortunate to meet one today. It's a pity that you are not a true immortal of Mahayana. Without immortal power, you can't hurt my demon body. Try it. The silver winged Tianzuan didn't talk nonsense. After spit out 2 words, the silver wings flashed and rushed towards the Yaoting Emperor again. Qin Daoxian found that compared to the silver spear weapon in his hand, the silver winged Tianzuan was really terrifying about his speed. Even if Qin Daoxian tried his best to capture it with his divine sense, he could not find the slightest trace of the opponent's movement. Quick. Too quick. Qin Daoxian exclaimed, it's countless times faster than my divine sense reaction speed. Such a fast speed, no need for teleportation and escape techniques. With this terrifying speed alone, he is simply invincible in battle. In fact, as Qin Daoxian said, under the restraint of the terrifying speed of Ini Tianzuan, this Yaoting Emperor is like a living target to be played. No matter how hard it struggles, it doesn't help, it can only be passively beaten. Although it said that Ini Tianzuan had no immortal power and could not hurt his demon body. In fact, under the attack of Ini Tianzuan again and again, the Demon Court Emperor found that the recovery speed of his demon body had slowed down. This discovery made the Demon Court Emperor terrified. This Silver Wing Heavenly Venerable's attack power is obviously far inferior to him, but the other party relies on his escape speed far exceeding his speed to tease it between applause. The Yaoting Emperor knew that this battle could not continue. Although it has confidence and continues to consume it, this Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate cannot kill it. After all, the other party is only Heavenly Venerate Transcendence Tribulation. If he wants to break out an attack comparable to a true immortal, he will inevitably consume a lot of mana. When the two are consumed, who wins and who loses is still a matter of two to say. But what is certain is that Silver Wing Tianzuan will definitely not be defeated. Just because the opponent's speed is too fast, he can get away at any time if he can't beat him, but this Demon Court Imperial Master is different. Once he can't beat him, he can't run even if he wants to. Thinking of this, the Demon Court Emperor has already begun to retreat. Wow! In the void, 12 black and white chains scattered directly, and the trapped Yaoguang city finally lifted the ban. The release of Yaoguang city also reduced some of the pressure on the Yaoting emperor. Correspondingly, the pressure on the Ini Tianzuan who was fighting against him also increased. See this scene. Naturally, Wuha Tianzuan would not sit and watch Ini Tianzuan fight alone. He was controlling Yaoguang city and slammed into this Jinping with a wingspan of 100,000 zhang. Boom. Under the impact of Yaoguang city, the demon court emperor staggered suddenly, and his golden wings fell countlessly. At this moment, the Yaoting emperor spit out a word, "Withdraw." After all, he spread his wings and flew into the depths of the void. Seeing their commander-in-chief fleeing for their lives, the rest of the heavenly venerate world monsters fled. Unfortunately, this silver wing heavenly venerate will obviously not give them this chance. I saw Ini Tianzuan turned into a silver light, constantly shuttled in the demon tide. Every time he flashed, there was a Tianzuan-level world demon killed in his hands. One shot one. Qin Daoxuan's eyelids jumped when he saw this scene. The same as the heavenly venerate, even if he released 10,000 no 100,000 5-star insect soldiers, it would not be of any use to this silver wing heavenly venerate. Quantity can sometimes bring about qualitative change, but under the difference of absolute speed, no amount of quantity is useless. Qin Daoxuan's 5-star insect soldier was already fast enough, but he could barely capture a bit of trajectory with his divine sense. And this silver wing heavenly venerate, even if his consciousness is 10 times stronger, he will not be able to capture the slightest trace. In the face of this terrifying speed, what is the use of his insect soldiers? Inside Yaoguang city. The sergeants guarding the city and the ordinary monks in the city saw that the silver-winged Tianzuan was free to kill 7 in and 7 out in the demon tide, and regarded ordinary world monsters as nothing, and everyone's morale was stimulated. The human race will win. The human race will win. The human race will win. The sound was sparse at first and finally became one piece, shaking the entire Yaoguang city. Seeing that the silver-winged heavenly venerate was going to chase again, Wuha heavenly venerate hurriedly said, "Brother Silver Wing, don't chase anymore, be careful to ambush." Hear this. Silver Wing Tianzuan returned to Yaoguang City after killing the last Tianzuan-level world demon queen. Just returned to Yaoguang City, Ini Tianzuan looked at Wuha Tianzuan who was extremely pale and frowned. "Brother Wuha, are you alright?" Wuha Tianzuan shook his head, then bowed his hands to Ini Tianzuan and said with a wry smile, "Thank you Brother Ini for your help in time, otherwise I'm afraid it'll be more fortunate this time." Ini Tianzuan nodded and said again, "Strange, why did Yaoting choose to launch such a big offensive this time? Could it be that Yaoting has unified the real demon world?" Hearing this, Wuha Tianzan's face changed suddenly, and he immediately shook his head. "Impossible, it is not that we can't gather any information in the real demon world. It's impossible for us to get no information on such a big thing." 2. Silver Wing Tianzuan paused. "Brother Wuha, I think you are seriously injured. Do you need to return to Guangyuan realm to cultivate?" "But this Yaoguang city." Wuha Tianzuan looked hesitant. "Brother Wuha, don't worry with me here, you are afraid that Yaoguang city will not be lost." Hearing this, Wuha Tianzuan finally felt relieved. He bowed his hands to Ini Tianzuan and said with a smile, "I'm relieved if you say this, Ini brother. Brother Wuha, you should be near the 8th thunder tribulation, right? Come on, I'm going to take advantage of this injury to survive the 8th thunder calamity in Guangyuan realm." Hearing this, Ini Tianzuan looked happy and said, "Then I wish Brother Wuha a smooth crossing of the calamity and become the new pillar of my human race." Wuha Tianzuan smiled and said with a smile, "Borrow the silver wing Brother Ji Yan." Inside Yaoguang City. Wei Zhongwu looked at Qin Daoxian with a complicated expression, not knowing what to say for a while. Qin Daoxian also felt the awkward atmosphere between each other. He silently retracted the insect soldiers of his team members, and then smiled at Wei Zhongwu and said, "Captain, why are you looking at me like this?" Wei Zhongwu said angrily, "Why should I look at you? I think our brigade has a soldier with an amazing background like you. I don't know anything about it." After speaking, Wei Zhongwu frowned and said, "If I remember it well, aren't you from Fengyun realm?" "Exactly I." "Forget it." Wei Zhongwu waved his hand, "I'm not someone who asks the truth. I don't care what background you have. As long as you are a soldier under me for a day, you have to listen to me." Yes, Qin Daoxian said with a smile, "Then I have to listen to you, Captain." Only then did Wei Zhongwu appear satisfied. He patted Qin Daoxian on the shoulder and said, "With the military exploits you have made today, if I guess right, You may have to end your service period. Qin Daoxuan's expression changed. Captain, what's the meaning of this? Brother Shen. Shen Changqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who. Everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Changqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Changqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Changqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into two occupations. One is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Changqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long. Shen Changqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time the door to the attic was open and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Changqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with a faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Zhenmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 484. Wei Zhongwu smiled mysteriously. You will know when the time comes. Perhaps there is a big opportunity waiting for you. After Qin Daoxian heard this, he became even more puzzled. But before he could ask further questions, the voice of Wuhe Tianzuan came from the Sea of Knowledge. Qin Daoxian's expression changed slightly, and he bowed to Wei Zhongwu and said, Captain, Tianzuan is looking for me, I'll go first. Go. Wei Zhongwu waved his hand. Yaoguang City, City Lord's Mansion. It was the first time for Qin Daoxian to come here in Yaoguang City for more than half a year. The layout of the City Lord's Mansion is very simple, and it is impossible to see that this is the dojo of a transcending robbery. In the Fengyun world, even the dojo of the Yuanian cultivator is 10 times more imposing than this City Lord's Mansion. Under the guidance of a Taoist boy, Qin Daoxian walked slowly to a courtyard. Inside the courtyard, a young Taoist with a white face and no beard is sitting under a locust tree and drinking tea quietly. It is Wuhe Tianzuan. Next to Wuhe Tianzuan sat a stern monk. Although he did not carry silver metal wings, Qin Daoxian recognized at a glance that this was the silver-winged Tianzuan who solved the siege of Yaoguang City. He is also a powerful heavenly venerate whose combat power has broken through the limit of tribulation. Its strength is much stronger than Wuhe Tianzuan. Seeing Qin Daoxian approaching the two of them, Ini Tianzuan looked up at him, then looked at Wuhe Tianzuan and said, Brother Wuhe, is this the person who made the first contribution to the defense of Yaoguang City? Exactly. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded, then looked at Qin Daoxian and said with a smile, Why are you standing still? I haven't seen Silver Wing Tianzuan soon. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian hurried forward, bowed and said, Junior Qin Daoxian, I have seen Ini Tianzuan and Wuhe Tianzuan. Exemption. Ini Tianzuan waved his hand, then looked at Wuhe Tianzuan, frowned and said, Brother Wuhe, have you thought about it? Are you sure you want to give him your recommendation? Well, I figured it out. Hearing this, Ini Tianzuan sighed. That's right, there is no influence behind you, you are free, naturally you will give the quota to whoever you want. After saying that, he looked at Qin Daoxian again. Although this kid is weak, he can make his first contribution in this war, and his military merit is enough. Anyway, let's do it with you. Silver Wing Tianzuan waved his hand and stopped persuading. When Qin Daoxian heard the conversation between the two, he was dumbfounded at the moment, not knowing what kind of riddle the two were playing. Just when he was extremely confused, Wuhe Tianzuan smiled and said, Are you curious about what we are talking about? Qin Daoxian nodded numbly. Qin Daoxian, let me ask you, if you rely on your own cultivation, how confident are you that you will break through to the transcendence period? Qin Daoxian frowned, and after a while he said firmly, 10%. Silver Wing Tianzuan, who was originally careless, immediately laughed when he heard this. He looked at Wuha Tianzuan jokingly and said with a smile, Brother Wuha, how is it? Was this junior slapped in the face? A trace of embarrassment flashed across Wuha Tianzuan's face. He glanced at Qin Daoxian angrily and reprimanded in a low voice, Don't be blindly confident. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian opened his mouth, and finally lowered his head and stopped defending. He can't tell Wuha Tianzuan that he has the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, and has unlimited power of good fortune to help him expand the Xinhuang realm, and the road is smooth. Not to mention the tribulation period, if it weren't for the restrictions of the Phoenix Meteor realm, he would even be 100% confident of breaking through to the Mahayana True Immortal. After a pause, Wuha Tianzuan said again, Even if you are confident enough to break through to the tribulation transcendence period, how long will it take? Now that it is imperative for the demon court to unify the real demon world, maybe a full-scale war will break out between the two worlds. At that time, there is not enough strength to stand by. How will you and your relatives survive this catastrophe? This sentence can be said to speak to Qin Daoxian's heart. Sui said he is very confident in his potential, but potential is just potential after all. Before the potential is transformed into strength, even if he can become a golden immortal in the future, he may be killed by a high-level heavenly venerate world demon now. Time. Since Qin Daoxian practiced, the most lacking thing has always been time. If he had been cultivating for thousands of years like other primordial spirit cultivators, he would have broken through to the tribulation transcendence period by now, and it was not an ordinary tribulation transcendence period. But like Wuha Tianzuan and Ini Tianzuan, he is a Tianzuan cultivator who has almost reached the limit of tribulation. Seeing that Qin Daoxian did not speak, Wuha Tianzuan continued, Now there is an opportunity in front of you, it is up to you to choose or not. Qin Daoxian didn't know why, so he cupped his hands and said, Please also ask Wuha Tianzuan to express it. Wuha Tianzuan smiled, You should know about Guangyuan realm, right? Qin Daoxian nodded. Although we all came from the Phoenix Meteor realm, since the ancient times, the foundation of my human cultivator has been replaced by the Guangyuan realm and other heavenly venerate realms in the inner territory. Wuha Tianzuan continued, This is also the reason why Fengyun realm doesn't even have a transcendence Tianzuan. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was shocked. He still doesn't understand the meaning of this Five Rivers heavenly venerate. It turns out that since the ancient times, the Phoenix Meteor realm has been abandoned by them. You must have guessed it. That's right, Fengyun realm has long been abandoned by us. Then why? On the side, Ini Tianzuan said, You want to ask, since Fengyun realm has been abandoned, what are we still doing in Liangjiuan? Seeing that Qin Daoxian did not speak, Ini Tianzuan explained, We give up the Phoenix Meteor realm, which does not mean that our human monks are willing to surrender it to the true demon realm to be swallowed up. These are two different things. That's right. Wuha Tianzuan nodded. The real demons in the real demon world have great ambitions. What they want is not just a phoenix world but also our entire human race. Qin Daoxian suddenly realized that for human monks, spiritual energy is essential, but for the real demon world, spirituality is what they really desire. And the human race monks have a lot of spirituality, and even the monks can create spirituality out of thin air when they step into the creation realm. One can imagine how tempting this is for the world demon. What the two heavenly venerates mean, the world demon not only wants the real demon world to devour me Fengyun world, but also wants to keep my human race in captivity. Wuha Tianzuan nodded, and Ini Tianzuan said solemnly, Even if you are in the Fengyun realm, you must be no stranger to the fact that the demons keep the human race in captivity. Cut off. It's just that these passages can't accommodate high-level cultivators to pass through, and it doesn't make much sense. It turns out that they know everything. That's right, as the highest level of human cultivators in the Fengyun realm, what secrets can they hide from them? Although the Phoenix Meteor realm is incomparably vast, for a monk of the level of the Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate that's all. From ancient times to the present, the Fengyun realm has long been explored by human monks. There are few monks in Wanxinghai in the northwest border because the resources are really poor, not because it is an unknown place for other monks. Heavenly Zun clearly sees the autumn leaves. Qin Daoxian didn't hide it. We have indeed occupied several small demon kingdoms in the real demon world, and we have also seen and heard about the world demon captive human race. Humph. These human races are all descendants of the human race that the world monsters kidnapped from the Phoenix meteor realm during the war between the world monsters and my human race monks in ancient times. Speaking of this, Ini Tianzan's eyes shone with cold light. No wonder he slaughtered those Qinzuan-level world monsters before, and he started so ruthlessly. From the expression on Silver Wing Tianzan's expression at this time, it can be seen how much he hates the real demon realm. Brother Silver Wing. Wuha Tianzuan whispered something. The murderous aura on Ini Tianzuan slowly subsided, and then he closed his eyes and stopped talking. Wuha Tianzuan coughed softly and continued, because we decided to put the foundation of the human race in the Guangyuan realm, over the past hundreds of thousands of years, we have only one attitude towards the Phoenix realm, and that is to ask for it. He sighed. I know, as a cultivator in the Fengyun realm, you must have been very dissatisfied with us and even hated us. Why are there so many resources in the Fengyun realm, but ordinary cultivators have had such hardships, and they don't even have the resources to practice? You guessed it right, most of these resources have been acquired by us, and even the top geniuses in the Phoenix meteor world have been absorbed by us. Chen Daoxian suddenly thought that once the monks in the Fengyun realm broke through to the Yuanshan stage, they would be forced to serve in the battlefield outside the two realms. Come to think of it, the purpose of doing this is not for this little bit of Yuanshan Daijin's combat power, but to select top geniuses from the Phoenix meteor realm. You must know how good the talent should be to be able to cultivate to the primordial spirit stage in such a barren resource environment as the Phoenix meteor realm, especially the cultivator who is not from a large sect. The talent is even better. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian knows that the fact is, as Wuha Tianzuan said, the meaning of the existence of the Phoenix meteor realm is the place for resource acquisition and talent transfer in the inner territory of the two realms. If he guessed correctly, the real core of the human cultivator should be the Guangyuan realm. Wuha Tianzuan looked at Chen Daoxian, who bowed his head and said, however, we have no other way. The real demon world has been devouring the Phoenix world, and this process is irreversible. Although there is a formation blocking by the ancient real immortals, it only delays the swallowing speed of the real demon world, and does not stop the swallowing of the real demon world. At this rate, sooner or later, the Phoenix meteor realm will be completely swallowed up by the true demon realm, and it is impossible for us to use the Phoenix meteor realm as the foundation of our development. Chen Daoxian could feel that these words were indeed the words of Wuha Tianzuan. In this matter, the celestial venerable of the human race has absolutely no selfishness. Otherwise, it is impossible for them to give up the Fengyun realm, which is higher in the world, and choose the slightly inferior Guangyuan realm as the foundation. I'm telling you this just to let you know that everything we do is to enable the race to continue. Everything is a helpless choice. There was a hint of sadness in Wuha Tianzan's tone. He knew that for the continuation of the plan of the human race, the humans and monks in Fengyun realm had paid too much, but the monks in the inner territory of the two realms had paid too much? As the absolute main force guarding the battlefield outside the two realms, the cultivators in the inner realm suffered heavy casualties every year, which was shocking. But for the great wish of the continuation of the human race, no one backed down. This is also the reason why many cultivators from the inner territory look down on the cultivators of the Fengyun realm. In the eyes of these inner territory cultivators, the cultivators in the Fengyun realm would only serve their own selfish interests, and they were greedy for life and fear of death. But in the eyes of the cultivators of Fenjianji, the cultivators in the inner domain robbed them of too many resources, and they often ridiculed them for being greedy for life and fear of death. In the Guangyuan realm, the cultivator from the Fengyun realm and the cultivator from the inner territory had serious conflicts. But in order to fight against the demons, the two sides were able to let go of their prejudices. The senior human race is also very clear about this situation, but as long as they don't make too much trouble, they usually turn a blind eye. For example, Wuha Tianzuan is a cultivator from the Fengyun realm, while the Silver Wing Tianzuan was born in the inner territory, and there is a top power behind it. Wuha Tianzuan was born in the Phoenix meteor world, and there is naturally no top power behind him, which is why he can easily hand over this place to Chen Daoxian. I've been talking for so long and I haven't told you what this quota is. Wuha Tianzuan shook his head. This title is an opportunity for the primordial spirit cultivator to quickly break through to the tribulation period. What? Chen Daoxian looked horrified. But, I'm only on the third floor of the world realm and am still far from the tribulation period. Unimportant. Wuha Tianzuan smiled and said, my human race can support hundreds of thousands of years in Liangjiyuan. Apart from the formation defense line left by the ancient real immortals, the most important reason is the chance I mentioned. It is precisely because of it that our human race monks can continuously give birth to tribulation monks and defend the line of defense. At this point, Qin Daoxian finally knew why the human race cultivator was able to stalemate with the world demon for hundreds of thousands of years. No matter how bad the world demons are, they will continue to produce true immortal combat power from a source of energy, and the human race monks are different. Out of the major immortal cities built by the ancient real immortals, there are only a handful of people who can possess the power of the real immortals. That is to say, there are not many tribulation monks in the entire human race such as Ini Tianzuan, who have reached the combat power of true immortals, which is very rare. This is also the reason why the human race is reluctant to arrange Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate to be the guard in Xianqing, because doing so is a great waste of Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate's combat power. A rare catastrophe monk like Silver Wing Tianzuan is more suitable as an assault rescue force. Just like this time, it was because of his rescue that Yaoguang City was finally saved. Otherwise, even if Qin Daoxian had more than 2,000 5-star insect soldiers, he would not be able to stop a true immortal level world demon. Again, once the strength gap reaches a certain level, the number loses its meaning. Qin Daoxian was able to use 1,000 5-star insect soldiers to surround and kill Jinpeng, but against the Emperor Yaoting he might not even be able to break through the opponent's defense. This is the gap. Unless Qin Daoxian can master a group of insect soldiers with high-level Tianzuan-level combat power. But this kind of insect soldier is so easy to be promoted. This time, Qin Daoxian caught up with the super-large demon wave, and he worked hard to get more than 30 million world demon corpses. Next time there is such an opportunity, I don't know, it will be the year of the monkey. Wuha Tianzuan looked at Qin Daoxian. I just ask you, would you like to go with me to Guangyuan realm? On the side, Ini Tianzuan also opened his eyes and looked at Qin Daoxian. Qin Daoxian looked at the two of them, nodded and said, I would like to go with Tianzuan. It is good. Wuha Tianzuan nodded in relief. Wuha Tianzuan, who was also from the Fengyun realm, knew that the cultivators of the Fengyun realm were naturally very disgusted with the practices of the inner territory of the two realms. After all, no one would want to be the one who was sacrificed. Even if this sacrifice is the best option. Brother Shen. Shen Changqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who. Everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Changqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqing. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Changqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Changqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into two occupations. One is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Changqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long. Shen Changqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time, the door to the attic was open and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Changqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with the faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Zhenmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 485. But? Qin Daoxian hesitated. The younger generation has something to ask for. Say. Wuha Tianzan's words are concise and to the point. Seeing the other party's attitude, Qin Daoxian was slightly relieved and said, the junior has a Taoist companion who served at the same time as the junior and was assigned to the Wujiu theater. The junior dared to ask the senior to take care of one or two. What's your Taoist companion's name? Concubine Qinxue. Qin Daoxian told the truth. I saw Wuhe Tianzuan closed his eyes and was silent for a moment, then opened his eyes, waved his hand, and a phantom of Fei Qinxue appeared in front of Qin Daoxian. Is it her? Qin Daoxian looked happy and hurriedly handed over. Exactly. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded. Don't worry, although I can't let her end her service directly, there is no problem in mobilizing her to the rear. But if you want to really take care of your Tao companion, you have to be strong enough. For example, if you break through to the transcending tribulation period, you can even become the guard of the immortal city where your Tao companion is located. Until then you can naturally shelter her. Wuhe Tianzun's words are cruel but true. The top powerhouses of the human race pay silently, and naturally they also have privileges that ordinary monks do not have. This is common sense. Otherwise, the strong and the weak have the same rights, wouldn't it be unfair to the strong? Compared with the situation where the sect clans of Fengyun realm were fighting each other, the cultivators of Liangjiyuan were much better. This point, although Qin Daoxian came here not long ago, he has already felt it. Comparing Liangjiyuan and Fenjianji, the biggest drawback is probably that this place is too dangerous. But the danger is only for the weak, such as the Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate. Even if it is open and fair in the outer battlefield, it is the danger of the world demon, not the Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate. This is the change brought about by power. Qin Daoxian's current strength is not too weak. Although his own cultivation and strength are not strong, he has a group of extremely powerful insect soldiers in his hands. Relying on this group of insect soldiers, Qin Daoxian even dared to compete with the middle and high-level Heavenly Venerate World Demon. This is also Qin Daoxian's biggest hole card so far. It's just a pity that Qin Daoxian's hole card has almost been leaked. But it doesn't matter, Wuhe Tianzuan has already promised to give his recommendation to Qin Daoxian, so that he can quickly break through to the Tribulation Transcendence stage and become a Tribulation Transcendence cultivator. Although Qin Daoxian didn't know how to quickly break through to the tribulation period, he believed that with the strength and status of Wuhe Tianzuan, he would not deceive him, especially on the premise that he made the first contribution. Qin Daoxian had nothing else to worry about when he explained the matter of his good concubine Qin Shui. On the side, Ini Tianzuan said, Brother Wuhe, your injury is not serious. It is better to go to Guangyuan realm sooner rather than later. Let's start now. It is good. Wuhe Tianzuan said, then Yaoguang city will be handed over to you. People are in the city. Hearing this, Wuhe Tianzuan nodded reassuringly. Afterwards, he waved his sleeves and disappeared into the courtyard with Qin Daoxian. Qin Daoxian only felt a flower in front of his eyes, and his figure came to a height of 10,000 feet above Yaoguang city. Looking down, the houses and pedestrians on the street are the size of matchboxes and ants. Wuhe Tianzuan glanced at it with nostalgia and sighed, let's go. Say. The figures of Qin Daoxian and Wuhe Tianzuan disappeared directly in place. After this trip to Guangyuan realm, Wuhe Tianzuan will definitely no longer serve as the guard of Yaoguang city. Wuhe Tianzuan has been sitting in Yaoguang city since breaking through to the tribulation period. Except for every calamity crossing, he has hardly left this fairy city. It can be said that the life of Wuhe Tianzuan is almost bound to this fairy city. Although Yaoguang city has greatly increased the strength of Wuhe Tianzuan, for him, it is not a cage. But for the continuation of the human race, he had to sit in Yaoguang city and imprison himself here. After leaving this time, Wuhe Tianzuan has mixed feelings, both reluctance and liberation. No matter whether he can survive the 8th Thunder Calamity this time, he will no longer serve as the guardian of Yaoguang town. If he failed to survive the 8th Thunder Tribulation, there would be nothing to say about the soul flying away. If he survives the 8th Thunder Calamity and becomes the same 8 Robbery Heavenly Venerate as Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate, Wuhe Heavenly Venerate will sit in the main city. Every 8 tribulations Heavenly Venerate of the human race is the ceiling of the human race cultivator. Silver Wing Tianzuan is like this, and the future Wuhe Tianzuan is likely to be the same. It's just that the road that Wuhe Tianzuan will take in the future may be different from that of Silver Wing Tianzuan. Silver Wing Tianzuan exists as a strategic rescue force in Guangyuan realm because its own combat power far exceeds that of cultivation. And the general 8 tribulations Tianzuan does not have the combat power of the Silver Wing Tianzuan, and they often choose to become the main town guardian. In fact, the 8 tribulations Tianzuan has become the main town guard. With the help of the battle power that the main city can erupt, it is even more terrifying than the Silver Wing Tianzuan. The only weakness is that the main town guard cannot leave a certain range of the main city. Otherwise, not only will the strength return to the normal 8 tribulations Heavenly Venerate, but also unforeseen dangers will be encountered. For a human powerhouse like Ini Tianzuan, the world demon is very troubled, but the ordinary 8th tribulation Tianzuan of the human race is different. These 8 robbery Tianzuan are not as difficult to kill as Ini Tianzuan. As long as the information is accurate, if you are ambushed by the world demon, you will basically be caught and killed. Therefore, in Liangjiyuan, the whereabouts of the ordinary transcending tribulation Tianzuan are highly confidential, not only the main town guard but also the guard town guard. Although Guangyuan realm can continue to transcend tribulation cultivators early, compared with cultivators in Yuanshan stage and even Yuanying stage, the birth of tribulation cultivators is much more difficult, and they cannot be consumed at will. This can be seen from the fact that the main city and the acropolis of the human race have not been guarded by Tianzuan in full. Guangyuan realm is located in the inner realm of Liangjiyuan human race. Outside the defense line constructed by Yaoguang City, the acropolis and the main city, it is called an extraterritorial battlefield. On the light boat, Wuha Tianzuan introduced. Qin Daoxian frowned and said puzzled, "Tianzuan, is the inner domain so far away from the outer battlefield?" The two have been on the light boat for more than a month, but they have not yet arrived in the inner domain, which makes Qin Daoxian feel that the distance from the outer domain to the inner domain is very far away. Wuha Tianzuan nodded, "Yes, it is very far. Then the first time I took the 2 realms teleportation array to reach the place, isn't it an extraterritorial battlefield?" Wuha Tianzuan looked at him with a smile. "Don't you think that the teleportation formation between the 2 realms will lead to the inner realm?" Qin Daoxian didn't know how to answer. Indeed, they came to Liangjiyuan for service, not for vacation. The cross-border teleportation formations of Feng Yunjie and Liangjiyuan are naturally located in the outer battlefield. Wuha Tianzuan said again, "Actually, the real main force of the war outside the territory is the monks in the inner region. Over the years, the Phoenix Meteor realm may be due to the lack of resources, and fewer monks go to serve in the battlefield outside the region." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian's mouth moved, but in the end he didn't say anything. He is very clear that it is not the lack of resources that Wuha Tianzuan said that the number of cultivators in service has been reduced, but that the cultivators of Yuanshan in the Phoenix Meteor realm are trying to escape military service. Before Qin Daoxian came to Liangjiyuan, he was also planning how to help concubine Qinshui evade service. If it wasn't for Tianzunqing's direct order, Qin Daoxian would definitely not let concubine Qinshui come to serve in the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan so early. But can he say that the cultivator of Fengjianji did something wrong? The Fengyun realm is a world that was abandoned, and the monks in the Fengyun realm are also a group of abandoned people. Although the inner territory cultivators are nominally protecting the Fengyun realm and protecting the inheritance of the human race, for the Fengyun realm cultivators, they did not feel it. Exploited. Although these exploitations are for the purpose of resisting the demons, the cultivators of the Fengyun realm cannot feel them. The estrangement was planted in the hearts of both sides from the very beginning. However, this gap cannot be eliminated at all. Through a short chat with Wuha Tianzuan, Qin Daoxian also roughly knew the power system of the Liangjiyuan human race. To put it simply, the power system of Liangjiyuan is very scattered, and it is formed by the combination of major top forces, and these top forces have no affiliation with each other. This has led to a lot of discussion and wrangling when the human race decides on an important matter. Although the monks of the human race have also seen the drawbacks of this power system, the monks pay attention to convincing people with their strength. Everyone is a monk who overcomes the calamity. Who can convince who? Coupled with the forces behind the various monks and the entanglements in different realms, it is difficult for one person to stand up and lead all the human monks. As the leader of the Northern Immortal League, Qin Daoxian knew that leading a party's forces was not an easy task. Strength, qualifications, prestige and means are all indispensable. He can become the leader of the Northern Immortal League, relying on his own absolute strength and the help of Qinyuan Sword Sect. If it weren't for the fact that behind Qin Daoxian the concubine Qinshui silently supported him, it would be difficult for him to be the leader of the alliance. If nothing else, just to manage such a large immortal alliance, the Qin family cultivator could not have enough manpower. You must know that the Northern Immortal League managed by Qin Daoxian is a big force with several second-rate sects and a large number of Yuanying families. And what about the Qin family? Apart from Qin Daoxian, the Yuanshan Daojun, there is only one Yuanying cultivator, Qin Fuxing. Even if Qin Daoxian can hold down these arrogant soldiers in the Immortal League, can the Qin family hold their subordinates? Impossible. No matter how strong Qin Daoxian is, he cannot let a foundation establishment cultivator control a Jindan cultivator for a long time. The monks only serve the strong, which is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Arrive. Just as Qin Daoxian pondered, the voice of Wu Tianzuan came into his ears. Qin Daoxian looked up, and the light boat under his feet had already dissipated by himself. When the light boat dissipated, a shocking and inexplicable scene came into Qin Daoxian's eyes. In Qin Daoxian's eyes, a huge ball of light appeared in front of him. Around this huge ball of light, there were many smaller of light, matched with the dark background of the endless void. This scene is like countless satellites orbiting a star. It's just that the light emitted by this star is not so intense but extremely soft. This is the inner domain? Wu Tianzuan nodded and said with a smile, "Welcome to the inner world." Qin Daoxian nodded dully. He looked at the largest ball of light. Qin Daoxian knew that it must be the Guangyuan realm. As for the countless small of light around this huge ball of light, they are probably the worlds opened up by Tianzuan realm and other Yuanshan Daijins. In theory, Qin Daoxian's Shenhuang realm can also be relocated here. Now his Shenhuang realm is floating in the endless void. Although it is hidden, it may encounter some danger one day. Putting the Shenhuang realm here, at least the entire human race will be guarded, so there is no need to worry about being destroyed by the demons. As the foundation of Qin Daoxian's enlightenment, Xuanwangji's importance need not be said more. However, it is not an easy thing to move Xuanwangji here. World teleportation can only be performed by monks reaching the 5th floor of the world. If Qin Daoxian wants to move the Shenhuang realm here, he can only fly over slowly with the Shenhuang realm. This is rather nonsense. It took Qin Daoxian almost a month to travel from the outer battlefield to the inner world in the light boat. As for flying here slowly in the Shenhuang realm, Qin Daoxian directly dismissed the idea. The so-called Wangshan ran to the death, the incomparably huge ball of light in front of Qin Daoxian. When he and Wu Tianzuan wanted to fly into this ball of light, it still took them more than a day. This is still Wu Tianzuan taking him. If it is to fly by Qin Daoxian's elusive light, I don't know how much time it will take. Enter the Guangyuan realm. Qin Daoxian only felt that his eyes suddenly brightened. Vitality. Qin Daoxian's first impression when he entered the Guangyuan world was that the world was full of vitality. In the past he was in the battlefield outside Fengyun realm and Liangjiuan, and he didn't feel deeply. Stepping into Guangyuan realm at this moment, his first impression is that this world is a world full of vitality and hope. In comparison, the aura of the Phoenix meteor realm is full of tyranny and despair. That's right, Qin Daoxian recalled carefully, it was indeed the case. Although Fengyun realm is much wider than Guangyuan realm, Qin Daoxian has never felt vigor and hope in surviving in Fengyun realm. Most of the monks in the Phoenix meteor realm are selfish, and to some extent, they are also affected by the environment of the Phoenix meteor realm. How about it, the Guangyuan realm and the Fengyun realm are very different, aren't they? Wu Tianzuan is also from the Fengyun realm, and he knows nothing about the situation in the Fengyun realm. Qin Daoxian nodded. Compared with Guangyuan realm, the breath of Fengyun realm is more of a kind of despair. Wu Tianzuan sighed. Of course it will despair. With the world status of Fengyun realm, it has already given birth to a certain world consciousness. After knowing its own destiny, it will inevitably feel despair and madness. Qin Daoxian nodded, and he couldn't say anything about this matter. The real demon world swallowing the Phoenix meteor world is a game between two worlds. This game is even higher than the Mahayana real immortal. So many real immortals in ancient times couldn't solve this problem, how could he be able to solve it today? Qin Daoxian still has this self-knowledge. Stop talking about these unhappy things. Wu Tianzuan's topic changed. Let me tell you about breaking through the calamity. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian immediately became highly concentrated. He knew that he would not have much obstacle to breaking through the tribulation transcendence period in the future, but it would take quite a long time. Not to mention the law of the great Tao of the Shenhuang realm, only the worldwide expansion of the Shenhuang realm is the first major difficulty in front of him. Wu Tianzuan continued, I know that your current Tao realm is only at the 3rd level of the world realm. If you want to break through the tribulation period, your Tao realm must reach the creation realm. This requires you to constantly expand the world you have opened up, as well as improve the Tao law of the world you have opened up. Qin Daoxian nodded when he heard this. Brother Shen. Shen Changqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who. Everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Changqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shin Changqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shin Changqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into two occupations. One is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shin Changqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long. Shin Changqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time the door to the attic was open and occasionally people came in and out. Shin Changqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with a faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell of everyone in Jinmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 486. Raising the realm of the Great Tao to the realm of creation is the prerequisite for breaking through the tribulation period. However, it is not an easy thing to achieve this premise. At least Qin Daoxian is not sure that he can do it in the short term. Follow me. As Wuha Tianzuan said, he rode Duanguang again and took Qin Daoxian to shuttle in Guangyuan realm. Although Guangyuan realm is far less than Fengyun realm in terms of the size of the world, it is many times larger than other heavenly venerate realms. After all, this is a real fairyland, and it has been operated by human monks for hundreds of thousands of years. Compared with the Guangyuan world hundreds of thousands of years ago, the current Guangyuan world has expanded at least dozens of times. The speed of Wuha Tianzan's escape was extremely fast, and it didn't take long for a majestic mountain to come into Qin Daoxian's eyes. This is. Looking at the mansions from the bottom to the top of the mountain in front of him, Qin Daoxian couldn't help asking. This is Tianzuan Mountain. Normally, whether it is an inner territory cultivator or a phoenix meteorite cultivator, after breaking through to the tribulation transcendence period, they will have a mansion here. From the bottom to the top, Tianzuan Mountain is the residence of the heavenly venerate 1 to 8 calamities. Qin Daoxian followed the sight of Wuha Tianzuan, and gradually focused his eyes on the 107 mansions on the peak of Tianzuan Mountain. These 107 mansions represent the 107 8 tribulations of the human race. These people are the most powerful heritage of the human race. But it is a pity that the human race has so many heavenly venerates, but no one can break through to the Mahayana true immortal, and can only rely on the formation and immortal city left by the ancient true immortal to stick to the line of defense. Let's go. After Wuha Tianzuan finished speaking, he walked straight towards Tianzuan Mountain with Qin Daoxian. Although there is no forbidden air formation on Tianzuan Mountain, few people will fly here, which is also respect for other people's Tianzuan. Wuha Tianzuan explained as he walked. Qin Daoxian nodded and followed behind him. With the strength of the two of them, Tianzuan Mountain is naturally no problem, and soon the two came to the residence of Wuha Tianzuan. Pushing open the door of the mansion, and sure enough, after entering the mansion, there is something special inside. In Liangjiuan, Qin Daoxian was accustomed to the way of building a cave in a mansion or a cave. Phoenix Meteor Realm still seems to be a precious cave, and in Liangjiuan it is simply a rotten street thing. Of course, high-level caves are rare no matter where they are. In front, Wuha Tianzuan walked and said, "This is the Dongtian Beppu that I built myself." This Dongtian was created by the Jieyuanzhu left by beheading a Tianzuan-level world demon when I was sitting in Yaoguang City. While they were talking, the 3 escaped lights quickly flew towards the 2 of them. When Qin Daoxian saw it clearly, he couldn't help but stun for a moment. The person who came here was not very high level, and the beautiful woman with the highest level of cultivation among the 3 had just broken through the primordial spirit stage. As for the other 2 female cultivators who looked more immature, one was in the early stage of nascent soul, and the other was in the middle stage of nascent soul. Just when Qin Daoxian secretly guessed the relationship between the three female cultivators and Wu Tianzuan took the initiative and said, "This is my Taoist companion." He pointed to the beautiful woman in the Yuanshan stage and then pointed to the other two fairies. "These are my two daughters." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian couldn't help widening his eyes. The higher the cultivator, the more difficult it is to have children in general. Of course, nothing is absolute. There are still many treasures in this world that can help high-level monks give birth to children, but these treasures are extremely precious. But thinking of the strength of Wu Tianzhen's cultivation base, Qin Daoxian was relieved. There are so many treasures in this world that the other party can't get. The beautiful woman nodded to Qin Daoxian, then looked at Wu Tianzuan and said with concern, "Husband, you are injured." Small wound. Wu Tianzuan shook his head with a smile and then said, "You take Sierra and Yuan down first, I have something to explain." Hearing this, the beautiful woman glanced at Qin Daoxian, nodded, and then left with two girls who kept staring at Qin Daoxian like a curious deer. "I'll make you laugh. Although my two daughters have the nascent soul cultivation base, they have never stepped out of the Tianzuan mountain since they were born, so they are not deep in the world. Senior's words are serious, Ling Yuan is innocent and romantic, and Daoxian is very envious of such a pure heart." Qin Daoxian quickly bowed. "Yeah, shouldn't my generation of monks cultivate with a pure heart? Unfortunately, there are too many disputes in this world and people can't break free," if Wu Tianzuan pointed out. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian remained silent. Along the way he has experienced a lot of blood and rain, and he has a deeper feeling for Wu Tianzhen's words. Compared with Qin Daoxian and the others, the two daughters of Wu Tianzuan may have never tasted trouble since they were born. Although the human race is threatened by the world monster, no matter how harsh a person is, it is impossible to force the two daughters of a seven-robbery heavenly venerate to serve on the battlefield outside the territory. Privileges exist everywhere, especially in the world of practice. In such a growing environment, how could the two daughters of Wu Tianzuan know the cruelty of this practice world? But then again, with Wu Tianzhen's protection now, his two daughters are naturally safe. If Wu Tianzuan dies in battle one day, this girl who has not been deeply involved in the world must be very desolate. Of course, these things are not in Qin Daoxian's turn to consider. Right now, the unification of the real demon world is imminent, and the war between the human race and the demon world will break out at any time. What Qin Daoxian can do is to do everything in his power to protect the people he wants to protect. Talking room. The two came to the dojo where Wu Tianzuan practiced. Enter the dojo. Wu Tianzuan took Qin Daoxian to the courtyard where he retreated. Although Wu Tianzuan guards Yaoguang City all the year round, the courtyard is still very elegantly cleaned up. Thinking about it, it is the work of the lady of Wu Tianzuan. In the courtyard, a well with a diameter of about Jianghu appeared in Qin Daoxian's eyes. It's just that this well is not filled with spiritual energy, nor spirituality, nor the power of good fortune. This well is very deep, as if it leads to the deepest part of Guangyuan realm. Wu Tianzuan went straight to the well, stretched out his hand to face the well, and stood quietly. Qin Daoxian didn't know what he was doing, so he had to stay quiet. After an unknown amount of time, a khaki bead flew out of the well and was held by Wu Tianzuan in his hand. It's an earth bead, Wu Tianzuan explained. Since I said that you will be promoted to the tribulation stage, I naturally want to help you quickly break through to the creation realm, and this earth bead is one of the treasures that will help you break through to the creation realm. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian took the khaki bead from Wu Tianzhen's hand and looked up and down. From the outside, this bead looked like a spiritual bead with a slight khaki light. The only thing that puzzled him was that he could not judge the grade of this spiritual bead. This also means that this treasure named earth bead is not a magic weapon, but a natural spiritual object. As I told you before, to break through to the creation realm, you need to expand the scope of the world you have opened up and improve the Tao law of the world you have opened up. And this bead can help you quickly expand the world. Wu Tianzuan said slowly. What? Qin Daoxian was stunned. There are such treasures in this world. For a long time, the expansion of the Shenhuang realm has relied on the silent cultivation of the captive true monarchs of the Shenqing Dao League, but what makes Qin Daoxian feel helpless is that even if there are more than 100 infant true monarchs for him to drive, the expansion speed of the Shenhuang realm is still unsatisfactory. Perhaps compared with other Taoist monarchs, the expansion of Shenhuang realm is fast enough, but Qin Daoxian can't wait. The world expansion of other Daijins is in units of centuries or even millennia. Qin Daoxian can't wait. Even if he expands the world 10 times faster than other Daijins, it will take more than 100 years, and Qin Daoxian can't wait 100 years. Wu Tianzuan continued, with the earth beads, the world you open can expand rapidly. Of course, if you instill the power of good fortune into the earth beads, this process will speed up. Of course, it depends on you. After all, even if you don't instill the power of creation, time is enough. Qin Daoxian understands what Wu Tianzuan means when the time is enough. The other party pointed out that with the help of Dizhu, he was enough to catch up with the chance to advance to the tribulation transcendence stage. The rest is the promotion of the Dao law. You come with me. Qin Daoxian continued to follow Wu Tianzuan. This time they came to an abyss in the cave. Looking at the abyss in front of him, Qin Daoxian was a little unclear, just when he was about to ask. Wu Tianzuan waved his hand gently. Immediately the abyss in front of him changed drastically. In Qin Daoxian's eyes, two auras were entangled wildly, one of them was strong and the other was much weaker. With the entanglement of the two breaths, the strong breath soon swallowed the weak one. As the weak breath was swallowed, an unprecedented clarity of Dao Yun escaped. When Qin Daoxian saw this Dao Yun, he was about to fall into an epiphany immediately. This time he didn't use the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. He just watched the Dao aggregate once and he was about to fall into an epiphany. This kind of opportunity is called heaven. At this moment, Qin Daoxian finally realized that the two breaths that were entangled with each other just now were not the breath of the real demon world and the phoenix world. The real demon world is swallowing the phoenix meteor world, and the Dao Yun that has just escaped is the leftovers after the real monster world devoured the phoenix meteor world. Although it is a bit of scraps, it is a supreme treasure for monks who are struggling to find the way. Qin Daoxian finally knew why the tribulation monks built their respective mansions here, in order to watch the real demon world devour the Dao Yun left by the phoenix world from time to time. Comprehending the Dao here, the speed is many times faster than the outside world. Compared with the Avenue Stone tablet that Qin Daoxian captured in the true immortal origin realm back then, Dao Yun here is not sure how many times stronger. The Avenue Stone tablet he captured in the true immortal origin realm back then was just the Dao laws left by the fallen true immortal realm demon, and those Dao laws had long since been eroded by the erosion of time. And the Dao Yun here is left over from the Phoenix Meteor realm being swallowed up by the true demon realm. In terms of quality, it is not known how much higher than the former. Therefore, it is not an exaggeration to call it the Holy Land of Enlightenment. It's just that Wu Tianzuan didn't know that Qin Daoxian didn't really need this Holy Land of Enlightenment. Of course, what he said was not good for Wu Tianzuan's famous words. The Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic has always been the deepest secret buried in his heart. Seeing Qin Daoxian's shocked expression, Wu Tianzuan nodded and said, "You are here to cultivate for a long time. After 12 years, it will be your chance to ascend to the sky in one step. Don't miss this God-given opportunity." After all, Wu Tianzuan was about to leave. "Senior," Qin Daoxian said quickly. Wu Tianzuan stopped, turned around and said, "What else?" Qin Daoxian said sternly, "I want to know, why did the senior help me like this?" Hearing this, Wu Tianzuan pondered for a moment and said, "In those days I was also supported by a senior like this, so you should be the one that fulfills the obsession in my heart. I know that the monks from Fengyun realm generally lack trust in other monks, but I hope you can trust us in the future. After all, there are still many days when we live and die together." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was shocked. Yes, if you don't even trust each other, how can you talk about defending against foreign enemies? At this moment, Qin Daoxian really felt the difference between the Fengyun world and the inner world. It stands to reason that Wu Tianzuan was also born in the Fengyun realm, but in him, Qin Daoxian could hardly see the mutual calculations between the monks in the Fengyun realm. Yes, it's just a support to the younger generation and the protection of the human race territory, including the Guangyuan immortal venerable that Qin Daoxian knew. The world of immortality formed by these people is the world of immortality that he truly yearns for. This world should be like this, Qin Daoxian muttered. Hearing this, Wu Tianzuan smiled slightly and immediately disappeared. 12 years later, I'll pick you up. Thank you, Tianzuan. Qin Daoxian bowed respectfully towards the other party. Qin Daoxian's gratitude for supporting a younger generation he didn't know so well was beyond words. Although Qin Daoxian made a great contribution in Yaoguang City this time, if it wasn't for the help of Wu Tianzuan, he would never have been able to win the sky-defying chance of being promoted to the tribulation period. In terms of background, Qin Daoxian has no background in Liangjiyuan. In terms of strength, although Qin Daoxian could compete with the ordinary Du Jie Tianzuan with the help of the 5-star insect soldiers, it was only in certain circumstances. Ordinary Du Jie Tianzuan can't beat a group of 5-star insect soldiers, but it is almost impossible for Qin Daoxian to kill Tianzuan by leaps and bounds. Because the Tianzuan level powerhouse saw something wrong, they had already run away, and they would not give Qin Daoxian a chance to kill. This time in the Battle of Yaoguang City, Qin Daoxian was able to kill 3 heavenly venerate level world monsters, entirely because the entire battlefield was blocked by Yaoguang City and the world monsters. The 3 heavenly venerate level demons were unable to perform mini teleportation escape techniques, so they were besieged by a group of 5-star insect soldiers and eventually died. It can be said that these 3 heavenly venerate world monsters died quite unjustly. As for Qin Daoxian's own strength, although it is not weak, it is not strong enough to be on a par with the tribulation period. Not to mention the tribulation period, if you don't count the insect soldiers, even if it is the 5th layer Daojun of the world, it is difficult for Qin Daoxian to win the opponent. Although Zile Tianhua is an extremely powerful trump card, it consumes too much fire and Qin Daoxian can't use it a few times. In the final analysis, his own background strength is not enough. Although he used to be all-powerful in the Yuaning period, but with the promotion of Yuanshan period, these backgrounds were almost completely consumed. Brother Shen. Shen Changqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who, everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Changqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqing. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said, in the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Changqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Changqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into 2 occupations. One is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Changqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long. Shen Changqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time, the door to the attic was open and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Changqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with a faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Zhenmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 487. Watching Wuhe Tianzuan leave. Qin Daoxian looked at the abyss in front of him. He did not rush to understand the avenue, but first took out the beads that Wuhe Tianzuan borrowed from him, and looked at it carefully. Qin Daoxian looked at it for a moment, and then his figure disappeared in place. Next moment, Qin Daoxian's figure has already appeared in the Xianhuang world. Today's Xianhuang realm, with the cultivation of the captured true monarch of the Xianqing Dao Alliance, is a huge world with a diameter of more than 3,000 miles. But compared with the world of other Taoist monarchs, Qin Daoxian's Xianhuang world is still a little too shabby. As he broke through to the Yuanshan stage, the Xianhuang realm was already directly related to his own strength. Therefore, Qin Daoxian has always attached great importance to the expansion of the Xianhuang realm. But attaching importance to it, the expansion of the world has its own limitations. Even if Qin Daoxian wants to expand rapidly, he is powerless. Compared with other Daojins, Qin Daoxian has no shortage of the power of creation needed for the expansion of the Xianhuang realm. What he lacked was precisely the time that other Taoists valued the least. Stepping on the solid ground of Xuanhuangji, looking at the green grass under his feet, and seeing the mountain peaks with water chestnuts for the first time in the distance, Qin Daoxian nodded secretly. Although it didn't take long for him to step into the 3rd floor of the world realm, with the efforts of more than 100 true monarchs, the concentration of spiritual energy and the landform environment in the Shenhuang realm appeared to be more and more vibrant. I have to admit that Yao Tsai and others did a pretty good job and they didn't slack off. Immediately, Qin Daoxian turned his palm, and a khaki-yellow spiritual bead appeared in his palm, which was the treasure lent to him by Wuhe Tianzuan, the earth bead. According to Wuhe Tianzan's method, Qin Daoxian gently tossed the pearl. I saw that the bead kept falling under the action of gravity. The strange thing was that as soon as the bead touched the ground, it burrowed into the soil. As the owner of the Shenhuang realm, Qin Daoxian could naturally perceive that this earth bead was sinking continuously, and the speed of sinking was extremely fast. Almost in the blink of an eye, the earth beads sank into the core of the Shenhuang realm. As soon as the earth beads entered the core, they stood still. The next moment, the whole world began to tremble slightly. As the master of Shenhuang realm, Qin Daoxian was the first to feel the strangeness of Shenhuang realm. The tremor range of the Shenhuang realm has also become more and more violent from the original subtle tremor. But this is not the case in Qin Daoxian's perception. He can perceive that the Shenhuang realm is expanding rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. And the speed of this expansion, compared with the previous expansion of more than 100 true monarchs using the power of creation, is simply worlds apart. Shenhuang World. North Sea. A fairy in a fluttering fairy robe is holding a jade bottle, spreading the power of creation into the sea. Immediately, the good waters of the North Sea churned violently. Yao Tsai was shocked. She was afraid of what happened to Zuan Huangji. You must know that the existence of the Shenhuang realm is the guarantee for their group of captives to survive. If something goes wrong in the Shenhuang realm, Yao Tsai can hardly predict how the angry Qin Daoxian will punish them. By then they may really be in a dilemma. Just when she felt scared, she was surprised to find that the area of the North Sea was expanding wildly. No, to be precise, the boundary of the Shenhuang realm was expanding rapidly. But how is this possible? Over the years, it has been Yao Tsai and the others who have personally expanded the Shenhuang realm. As for the expansion speed of the Shenhuang realm, their group of true monarchs have long been aware of it. Even if the power of good fortune in the Shenhuang realm is sufficient, it is impossible to expand so quickly, otherwise Qin Daoxian would not be so angry last time. Just when she was in shock, a familiar voice came from the Sea of Knowledge. Don't panic, it's me. Owner. Yao Tsai quickly lowered her head. Not only her, but all the true monarchs in the Shenhuang realm, Qin Daoxian's voice sounded in the Sea of Consciousness at this moment. As the casters of Qin Daoxian's soul seal, these true monarchs are already Qin Daoxian's soul slaves. After years of transformation of the soul seal, these true monarchs have long since given up on Qin Daoxian. It would not be an exaggeration to say that they were Qin Daoxian's most loyal subordinates. If not, Qin Daoxian would not feel at ease handing over the Shenhuang realm to them for expansion. The other side. As soon as Qin Daoxian finished comforting his subordinates, he exclaimed, "What a fast expansion speed! Compared with the previous use of the power of creation, using the power of this earth bead to expand the Shenhuang realm, the speed is 1,000 times faster." As if thinking of something, Qin Daoxian thought. The earth beads located at the core of the earth quickly floated up, and soon the earth beads were taken out by Qin Daoxian from the depths of the earth's core. Qin Daoxian did this, of course he didn't use it anymore. But he remembered Wuhe Tianzan's words, this bead seems to be able to be used in conjunction with the power of creation, and play a more terrifying effect of expanding the world. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian immediately took out a bottle of the power of creation and dumped it on the earth bead. Sure enough, this earth bead is like a sponge that will never get wet. Qin Daoxian poured 10 million drops of the power of creation, and then stopped the action of pouring. Weighing the earth beads that absorbed 10 million drops of the power of creation in his hands, Qin Daoxian felt that it seemed to be a little heavy. Amazing! It has absorbed so much power of creation, but the weight has hardly changed. You must know that this earth bead is not a space treasure, and it does not contain space inside. From the outside, it is just an ordinary innate spiritual bead. Qin Daoxian threw it to the ground again, and the earth beads drilled into the core again. This time the Shenhuang realm expanded even faster. Qin Daoxian closed his eyes and silently sensed the expansion of the Shenhuang realm. After a while he opened his eyes and said secretly, "The speed is 10 times faster than before. I just don't know how long these millions of drops of the power of creation can last." After thinking for a while, Qin Daoxian said to Yao Tsai, who was in the North Sea, "Come here to see me quickly." In Yao Kai's Sea of Consciousness, the location of Qin Daoxian appeared. She hurriedly lowered her head and said, "Yes, master." Yao Tsai drove the escaping light to Qin Daoxuan's position. Looking at Qin Daoxian in a white Taoist robe, like a heavenly man, Yao Tsai didn't dare to look directly, and hurriedly lowered his head and said, "Master, I don't know what you are talking about with your servants?" Looking at Yao Kai's cautious appearance, it was difficult to associate her with the original palace master Yue. From now on, you and your subordinates will no longer need to expand the Shenhuang realm. Hearing this, Yao Kai's pretty face turned pale. She thought that they had done something wrong and angered the master, and immediately wanted to beg for mercy. Qin Daoxian saw her thoughts, waved his hand and said, "This matter has nothing to do with you, you just need to follow the instructions." "Yes, master." Yao Tsai suppressed her thoughts and bowed her head to answer the order. "There is an orb buried here. I need you to guard it here. When the expansion rate of the Shenhuang realm drops, you will notify me in the Sea of Consciousness through the soul imprint, do you know?" Although there were too many doubts in his heart, Yao Tsai did not dare to hesitate in the face of Qin Daoxuan's order. She nodded quickly and replied, "I see, master." Seeing this, Qin Daoxian nodded with satisfaction, and then his figure disappeared in the Shenhuang realm. Watching Qin Daoxian leave, Yao Tsai breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that such a big movement in Shenhuang realm was related to the orb buried in the ground. Qin Daoxian ignored what Yao Tsai was thinking. The order he gave to Yao Tsai was very simple, as long as she paid attention to when the expansion rate of the Shenhuang realm dropped. For Yao Tsai, apart from being boring, there is almost no difficulty as long as she always pays attention to the magnitude of the tremors of the Shenhuang realm, she can tell. In this regard, Qin Daoxian does not need to worry. Leaving the Shenhuang realm, his figure reappeared in front of the abyss of Wuha Tianzhen's mansion. Looking at the Dao Yun escaping from the abyss in front of him, Qin Daoxian sat cross-legged and realized the law of the Dao. As he was promoted to the third floor of the world realm, his Dao law had room for improvement. It's just that because the world of the Shenhuang realm is too small and the Dao law is too powerful, it is not a good thing for the Shenhuang realm, so Qin Daoxian did not continue to improve the Dao law of the Shenhuang realm. The Dao law of the Shenhuang realm can only be said to match the Dao realm on the third floor of the world realm just now. But now the Shenhuang realm is expanding wildly at a very high speed, and Qin Daoxian must keep up with the Dao law of the Shenhuang realm. For a world, the Dao law is bone and the world is flesh and blood. The two complement each other. The skeleton is too large and the flesh and blood are insufficient. Then this world is a skin and bones, which is obviously not acceptable. Similarly, if the skeleton is too small and the flesh and blood are too full, there will be a danger of the world collapsing even more so. For a world, balanced development is the most important thing. Now that the Shenhuang realm is expanding at a high speed in the world, Qin Daoxian can comprehend the Tao to the fullest. Silently estimating the expansion rate of the Shenhuang realm in his heart, Qin Daoxian adjusted the increase in his understanding while watching the Dao Yun escaping from the abyss in front of him. It was not until he adjusted the increase in his comprehension to 73 times that this ensured that the speed at which the earth bead expanded the Shenhuang realm would be in line with the speed at which he comprehends the law of the great Dao. In the Shenhuang realm, as Qin Daoxian retreated and comprehended, the laws of the Dao in the world became more and more perfect. It is manifested externally, that is, the Shenhuang realm is becoming more and more vibrant. It no longer looks like a huge cave world but a real world. Yao Tsai stayed at the place where Qin Daoxian left, and his consciousness was always open. She found that there were more and more vegetation in the Shenhuang realm, and gradually plankton began to be born in the water. Seeing this scene, Yao Tsai was stunned. The emergence of planktonic life in the world is a phenomenon that is full of vitality to a certain extent. Qin Daoxian had told her that this was a sign that she was about to be promoted to the fourth floor of the world realm. The fourth floor of the world? Yao Tsai murmured. It has only been a long time and it has been fully calculated. It has only been less than 5 years for Qin Daoxian to be promoted to the third floor of the world realm. How can he be promoted to the fourth floor of the world realm? Yao Tsai is very puzzled. Doesn't it mean that the further you practice, the slower the speed will be? How come to the master's place, the speed of cultivation not only did not slow down but got faster and faster? In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. Now, Qin Daoxian, who was comprehending the avenue in front of the abyss, opened his eyes. The next moment, his figure disappeared in front of the abyss. Shenhuang world. Qin Daoxuan's figure appeared instantly. Seeing Qin Daoxian, Yao Tsai hurriedly bowed her head and saluted, "See, master." Qin Daoxian waved his hand, indicating that there is no need to be more polite, and said, "The expansion speed has indeed slowed down." Immediately, with a thought, a khaki bead quickly flew out from the depths of the earth's core. Holding the earth bead in his hand, Chen Daoxian sighed, "This earth bead is really a treasure. In just 1 year, my Dao realm has been promoted to the 4th level of the world realm." Yao Tsai on the side was silent when she heard this. In fact, she knew in her heart that the Master's Dao realm was not only on the 4th floor of the world, but stepped on the threshold of the 5th floor of the world with 1 foot. For the world realm. The world scope of the world it opens up is a good way to measure the realm of the Dao. Leaving aside the special Daojun Qin Daoxian, when the ordinary primordial spirit cultivator was promoted to the 3rd floor of the world realm, there was no one with a diameter of less than 10,000 miles in the world. And if you want to be promoted to the 4th floor of the world, you need to expand the world of Daojun to a diameter of 100,000 miles. From a diameter of 10,000 miles to a diameter of 100,000 miles, the worldwide expansion is not 10 times but 10,000 times. Of course, the expansion of the world by 10,000 times does not mean that the strength gap is 10,000 times. But this also proves why the strength of the 3rd level Daojun of the world is far superior to that of the 2nd level Daojun of the world, because the two worlds are not at the same level at all. In fact, it is not that the 3rd level Daojun of the world realm is so much stronger than the 2nd layer Daojun of the world realm, but that the strength of the 3rd layer Daojun of the world realm is too great. A senior world realm 3rd layer Daojun may have expanded to a diameter of 100,000 miles in the world. Faced with a world realm 2nd layer Daojun with a diameter of only 10,000 miles in the world, there is no reason not to crush the opponent. On the contrary, the difference in strength between the 4th layer Daojun of the world realm and the 3rd layer Daojun of the world realm is not as obvious as the gap between the 3rd and 2nd layers of the world realm. Because the world scope of the 4th level Daojun of the world realm is only 100,000 miles in diameter, its deeper change is that this world begins to give birth to the lowest life forms such as fish life. At the 5th level of the world, the level of life born in the world began to gradually increase, and terrestrial life has begun to appear. As for the creation realm, spiritual life begins to be born. As for what is spiritual life, the human race is the most typical spiritual life. In order to explore this realm, the cultivators of the creation realm have already begun to try to create new life and species in their own world. At this level, for ordinary mortals, there is not much difference between monks and omnipotent gods. It took Qin Daoxian a year to expand the world from a small diameter of more than 3,000 miles to the current diameter of 130,000 miles. This kind of world expansion speed can definitely rank among the best among all Yuanshan Daojins. After all, even the Yuanshan Daojun of the top forces can enjoy this kind of resource at most. You must know that the one who supported Qin Daoxian was a 7 tribulations heavenly venerate in the human race, and it was the 7th tribulation heavenly venerate who was about to pass through the 8th thunder tribulation. Once Wuhe Tianzuan has passed the 8th thunder tribulation, he will become the 108th 8th tribulation Tianzuan of the human race. There are several Yuanshan Daojins who can match this kind of backing. Chapter 488. Cultivation has no years, time is like flowing water. Soon 5 years slipped away. Xinhuang World. North Sea. Qin Daoxian, dressed in a white Taoist robe, stood on the choppy seaside. In front of him, a humanoid body was constantly condensing. Looking closely, the bones, flesh, and meridians of this body were being born little by little. But at the end of the bald head, the body collapsed directly. Boom dash, the flesh and blood were directly blown to pieces, and the beach was suddenly shredded with scarlet flesh. The flesh and blood collapsed in front of Qin Daoxian, and was automatically blocked by an invisible force, not splashing onto his white robe. Is it still not possible? Qin Daoxian sighed. Without the creation realm, it is really impossible to create spiritual life. In 5 years, Qin Daoxian's Dao realm has advanced by leaps and bounds, and he is only 1 step away from the creation realm. So far, only half of the 12 years since he and Wuhe Tianzuan agreed. But it is estimated that Wuhe Tianzuan did not expect that Qin Daoxian could progress so rapidly. According to Wuhe Tianzuan's estimate, Qin Daoxian only has a certain hope of breaking through to the creation realm within 12 years. If he can successfully break through to the creation realm within 12 years, then needless to say Qin Daoxian will get a rare chance in 1,000 years. If he can't break through to the creation realm within 12 years, even if Wuhe Tianzuan wants to help him, Qin Daoxian will not be able to seize this opportunity. After 5 years of practice in the mansion of Wuhe Tianzuan, Qin Daoxian already knew that he was just one of the many candidates for Wuhe Tianzuan. In Wuha Tianzin's mansion, the younger generation like him, Wuha Tianzun, chose a lot. Of course, Qin Daoxian naturally would not resent the other party. After all, the chance to break through the tribulation transcendence period is rare, and Wuha Tianzun happens to have another recommended quota, and there are bound to be countless monks who are eyeing this recommended quota. Among these alternative places, the vast majority of people may not be the objects that Wuha Tianzun really wants to choose. Many are out of favor and helplessness to give the other party a chance to win a recommendation. And Qin Daoxian is the one who Wuha Tianzun really looks forward to. Otherwise, with Qin Daoxian's background strength, he would never be supported by a quasi-8 robbery heavenly venerate. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Qin Daoxian's strength is insufficient 6 years later, and he did not get the final recommendation of Wuha Tianzun, he himself will not lose at all. Because at this speed of cultivation, it is a sure thing for Qin Daoxian to break through to the creation realm 6 years later. Even, it is not impossible for Qin Daoxian to be promoted to the creation realm in the next second. This means that the 12 years of cultivation here at Wuha Tianzun saved at least hundreds or even thousands of years of hard work outside Qin Daoxian. Otherwise, with the more than 100 nascent soul true monarchs in the Shenhuang realm, the year of the monkey horse moon can expand the Shenhuang realm to a diameter of 300,000 kilometers. Compared with the Wuha Tianzun mansion, Qin Daoxian's Shenhuang realm is simply a sky and an underground, and the two cannot be compared at all. And this adventure is also the biggest opportunity Qin Daoxian has obtained since his cultivation. In terms of helping him, to a certain extent, even the inheritance of Wan Xinghai can't compare. Although Qin Daoxian knew that the inheritance of Wan Xinghai had a great background, the calamity of the real demon world was imminent. No matter how much the inheritance of Wan Xinghai will help him in the future, it will not be able to quickly improve his cultivation and strength now. Because Qin Daoxian firmly believes that with the golden scriptures in his knowledge sea, even if there is no Wan Xinghai inheritance, his future achievements will not be too low. For Qin Daoxian, the immediate problem is the most urgent. Glancing at the blood on the beach, Qin Daoxian waved his hand, and the beach was spotless again. Nodding his head, Qin Daoxian's figure flashed and disappeared in the Shenhuang realm. Now that he is stuck at the threshold of the creation realm, it is of little use to continue to retreat and practice asceticism. Qin Daoxian is very thoughtful, ready to leave the Wuha Tianzun mansion and take a tour near Tianzun Mountain. It's just that he just walked out of the Shenhuang realm when he saw a light flying towards him. As soon as his consciousness was swept away, Qin Daoxian saw the person coming and stood there and waited. Fairy Lingxi. Seeing the person coming from a distance, Qin Daoxian bowed his hands to him. The visitor is none other than Ran Lingxi, the daughter of Wuha Tianzun. Among the daughters of Wuha Tianzun, Ran Lingxi is the younger sister. Compared with her elder sister Ran Xianyuan, her younger sister Ran Lingxi is more lively. The fact that Wuha Tianzun has many candidates for monks was told by this Fairy Lingxi. And according to Fairy Lingxi's prediction, Qin Daoxian is the one with the least hope of getting a place among all the candidates of Yuan Shin Daojun. Because other monks have already reached the creation realm, and some have even been promoted to creation realm Daojun for many years, maybe they can break through to the tribulation transcendence stage on their own after just waiting for a chance. Compared with these cultivators, Qin Daoxian, who is only on the 5th floor of the world realm, naturally hopes to be the most elusive one. This is also the reason why Qin Daoxian practiced in front of this abyss for so long, and hardly saw any other candidate monks. Because the other candidate monks have long been promoted to Daojun of Creation Realm, there is no way to enter the Dao realm, so they can only wait for the opportunity, or break through the calamity period on their own. But compared to breaking through the Tribulation Transcendence stage on their own, the chance to break through to the Tribulation Transcendence cultivation base is more than 10 times greater. Of course, no one wants to miss this kind of opportunity. This Fairy Lingxi was wearing a pink pleated skirt with her small hands behind her back, and she came to Qin Daoxian with a flash of light. She tilted her head to look at Qin Daoxian and asked curiously, "Hey, why did you neither practice nor expand your Shenhuang realm today?" In Ran Lingxi's impression, Qin Daoxian has been like an ascetic over the years. All day long except practice is practice. Even if she occasionally came to the abyss to comprehend the great Tao, the cultivator named Qin Daoxian ignored her, as if the other party didn't care about her identity at all. This made Fairy Ran Lingxi, who had been held in the palm of her hand since she was a child, aroused a grand curiosity. After that, she used the information on the recommended quota to be revealed to Qin Daoxian as a condition, and the two gradually became familiar with each other. Of course, this is just what she thinks she is familiar with. Although Fairy Lingxi's cultivation has reached the level of a true monarch in the world, in Qin Daoxuan's eyes, Fairy Lingxi is just a child. In terms of Xinxing, it is no different from the children he studied in the Qin family study. Under the protection of Wuhe Tianzuan, this Fairy Lingxi was so well protected that she didn't even know that there were still sufferings and struggles in this world, and she didn't even know that the human race was facing the huge threat of the world demon. In her world, the life in Tianzuan Mountain and Wuhe Tianzan's mansion is all she has. Qin Daoxian looked at Ran Lingxi with a puzzled face, smiled and said, "My Dao realm has been promoted to the 5th floor of the world realm. I have encountered a checkpoint temporarily and want to go out to the Tianzuan mansion to relax." "Ah? Have you been promoted to the 5th floor of the world realm?" Ran Lingxi was taken aback. Her cultivation is much lower than that of Qin Daoxian, and she can't see the depth of Qin Daoxian at all. But she heard her mother say that before Qin Daoxian came to Tianzuan mansion, he only had the cultivation of Daojun on the 3rd floor of the world. In just 6 short years, the other party actually broke through to the 5th floor of the world realm. This speed. Thinking that since she was born she has been cultivating Dao Yun in the real demon world to devour the Phoenix world, but so far has not been able to break through to the primordial Daojun, can't help but feel discouraged. It's not that the father is talented, and the children born are naturally talented. As the daughter of Wuhe Tianzuan, although her spiritual root is the upper spiritual root, which is quite good compared to ordinary monks, compared with the real genius, the upper spiritual root is not considered to be outstanding at all. Of course, compared to spiritual roots, what high-level monks value more often is comprehension and Xinxing. And these, Ran Lingxi's performance is even worse. This is also the reason why Wuhe Tianzuan obviously has a pair of daughters, but chooses to train other juniors. It really is that he doesn't have the opportunity to support him. Even if he wants to support him, his qualifications are too poor. She secretly marveled at the speed of Qin Daoxuan's cultivation, and Ran Lingxi put it behind her. She rolled her eyes and immediately remembered something. Thief said, "So you want to move the Shenhuang realm to the inner realm world? Come." When Qin Daoxian heard this, he suddenly woke up. Yes, he forgot about it. With his promotion to the 5th floor of the world realm, he already has the ability to move the Shenhuang realm. Since the beginning of its birth, the Shenhuang realm has been floating in the endless void near the Phoenix meteor realm, but as the war between the world demon and the human race is getting closer, the risk of the Shenhuang realm being exposed is also increasing. The high-level monks of the human race all choose to transfer the world they created to the inner world, which naturally has its reasons. After pondering for a moment, Qin Daoxian raised his head and said, "Thank you, Fairy Lingxi, for reminding me that I went out this time to solve this matter." Hearing this Fairy Lingxi suddenly became excited. Hey, take me with you. I've grown so big and I've never been out of the Tianzuan mountain for thousands of miles." Saying that, he stared at Qin Daoxian with innocent big eyes. But Qin Daoxian didn't buy her attitude at all. He shook his head and said, "Fairy, forgive me, I wouldn't dare to take you out without the permission of Heavenly Venerate." "Humph. You wait." After that, Ran Lingxi raised her head and shouted at the sky, "Father, I want to go out with Qin Daoxian to watch him move the Shenhuang realm, which will also help my daughter's future practice. Father, please agree to my request, okay?" Saying that, Ran Lingxi put her hands together and kept praying. At this time, a sigh came from the horizon. Go, this old man can't heal even a wound." "What?" After receiving Wuhe Tianzan's response, Ran Lingxi was so happy that she jumped up and said excitedly, "Thank you, Dad. Dad is the best." This time no sound came again. However, Qin Daoxian could think that Wuhe Tianzuan must be smiling very happily at this moment. But Qin Daoxian was not happy. He just wanted to go out and relax when he encountered obstacles in his practice, but he did not intend to be a nanny. It's just that Wuhe Tianzuan has spoken. What can he say? Although he has just come to Guangyuan realm now, people in the know must have marked him with the mark of Wuhe Tianzuan. In this regard, Qin Daoxian did not have much disgust. Wuhe Tianzuan was so supportive to him, coupled with his cultivation base that was almost at the top of the human race cultivator, and with him as his backer, Qin Daoxian didn't think there was anything wrong with him. Many people want such a backer and can't find it. Qin Daoxian was able to find such a backer, and it was indeed the Battle of Yaoguang City, and his performance convinced Wuhe Tianzuan. Otherwise, with Wuhe Tianzan's cultivation base and strength, he would definitely not be so favored by him, a third-level Taoist in the world. As for Wuhe Tianzan's agreement with his daughter Ran Lingxi to go out with Qin Daoxian, he also knew Qin Daoxuan's strength. On the surface, Although Qin Daoxuan's strength is only at the 5th level of the world realm, in fact, he has more than 2,000 5-star Taoist soldiers. With such a terrifying power shelter in this inner world, Wuha Tianzuan really doesn't worry about what will happen. Because the monks who can make Qin Daoxian and Ran Lingxi in danger must be those high-level heavenly venerates. And those heavenly venerate, even in his face, will not embarrass the two juniors. Since it is 100% safe, there is no reason for Wuha Tianzuan not to let his daughter go out for a stroll. Wuha Tianzuan knows that he guards Yaoguang City all the year round, and he doesn't care enough about his daughter's growth. Being able to make her happy is one of the few things that his incompetent father can do for her. The top of Tianzuan Mountain. 2 escaping lights flew out from a mansion on the top of the mountain. It was Qin Daoxian and Ran Lingxi. Ah, I can finally come out again. Haha, Qin Daoxian, look at that cloud, does it look like a tiger? And that, hey, don't go, wait for me. Along the way, Ran Lingxi chatted endlessly, and Qin Daoxian only felt that he was not walking with a true monarch Yuan Ying, but was leading a 4 or 5-year-old child. Ran Lingxi vented her madness for a while and finally calmed down a little. Seeing this, Qin Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. But the next moment, Ran Lingxi turned to look at him and said, "Where do we go after we go down the mountain? Have you made up your mind?" I know there's a place, it's very fun, can I take you there?" After that, he stared at Qin Daoxian with innocent big eyes. Qin Daoxian opened his mouth and after a while nodded, "Listen to Fairy Lingxi." "Oh, don't call me Fairy Lingxi, just call me Ran Lingxi." Ran Lingxi waved her small hand and said with arrogance, "It is good." In this way, Ran Lingxi chatted for 10 sentences, Qin Daoxian replied, and the two quickly descended Tianzuan Mountain. This is the first time Qin Daoxian has come into contact with this world since he came to Guangyuan realm. The last time he came here, he was directly taken by Wuha Tianzuan and flew to Tianzuan Mountain. At the speed of Wuha Tianzan's escaping light, if he didn't expand his consciousness, let alone the scenery along the way, Qin Daoxian couldn't even react. This time he took Ran Lingxi with him, and the speed of escaping light could be described as slow in his eyes. Qin Daoxian was already a cultivator. He was a little tired and wanted to come out and relax. Besides, he also wanted to inquire about something. But Ran Lingxi didn't think so and walked down Tianzuan Mountain. Without saying a word, Ran Lingxi took Qin Daoxian and flew towards the place she expected. Qin Daoxian followed her slowly, quietly thinking about the next cultivation arrangement. It wasn't until Ran Lingxi's surprised voice came into his ears that Qin Daoxian came back to his senses. "It's here, it's here." Chapter 489. Looking up, a huge immortal city appeared in Qin Daoxuan's field of vision. Qin Daoxian, the giant immortal city, has seen a lot, but it is not surprising. But in the immortal city in front of him, Qin Daoxian felt a strong spirit of the world demon. You must know that this is the Guangyuan realm. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is the most core hinterland of the human race. How can there be real-world monsters here? Just when Qin Daoxian was puzzled, Ran Lingxi on the side explained in time, "This is the immortal city of Buddha, and it is the largest immortal city of fighting demons within 10,000 miles of Tianzuan Mountain." Do Yao. Qin Daoxian was slightly stunned. Literally, he vaguely guessed the meaning of Do Yao Xianqing, but he was not sure. But as he entered this fairy city, his guess was gradually confirmed. This is an immortal city where world monsters gamble and fight for fun. In the Buddha city there are several large monster fighting fields. The second and third generations of disciples from all over the world, especially Tianzuan Mountain, all have fun here. As the descendants of the human race, they were born with a lot of privileges. But it is not that the ancestors are Tianzuan, and the descendants must be amazingly talented. Among the many descendants of Tianzuan, it is not bad to be able to produce 1 or 2 talented monks. Just like the Qin family, after so many generations, there is only one Taoist monk named Qin Daoxian. Although the resources of Tianzuan are much stronger than that of the Qin family, as the pillar of the human race, almost every Tianzuan shoulders the heavy responsibility of guarding the frontier of the human race. Therefore, most of the descendants of Tianzuan who live in Tianzuan Mountain have not received much good education from Tianzuan. In other words, the truly outstanding descendants of Tianzuan have already moved out of Tianzuan Mountain. Only those playboys who are not talented and have amazing backgrounds will gather in Tianzuan Mountain, the safest place for the human race to eat, drink and have fun. Knowing that this immortal city of Buddha is an entertainment immortal city where the children of gather, Qin Daoxian is even less interested in it. Qin Daoxian has been cultivating so far and he has walked all the way from Weimo, and he really hasn't dealt with the playboys very much. Maybe the forces he contacts are not as good as the heavenly venerate level forces, but the people he contacts are all the core elites of various forces. Let him deal with a group of playboys. Qin Daoxian really didn't have much interest. Hey, why do you keep a sullen face all the way? Don't you just want to have fun when you come out to play? On the lively street, Ran Lingxi couldn't help but feel dissatisfied when she saw Qin Daoxian's tense expression. As she said that, she seemed to remember something and said mysteriously, "Come to the immortal city of the Buddha, don't go to the demon fighting field to gamble, it will be in vain. I heard that there will be a duel between Daojuan level world demons tonight, we have to don't go and see, heard." Qin Daoxian shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'm always happy so I won't join in the fun." He paused. "Fairy Lingxi, do you know that there is a Chuanbao pavilion in this Buddha city? Are you going to Chuanbao pavilion to buy something?" Ran Lingxi asked a question and before Qin Daoxian could answer she said, "Of course there is a Chuanbao pavilion in the immortal city of the Buddha. This is the largest immortal city near Tianzuan Mountain." "Thank you." Qin Daoxian nodded. "Also, as I said, don't always call me from Fairy Lingxi or Fairy Lingxi, just call me by my name." Saying that, Ran Lingxi put on a pitiful look again. "Are you really not going to the demon fighting field with me?" Qin Daoxian shook his head firmly. "All right." Ran Lingxi flattened her mouth. "Aren't you afraid that I might run into danger if I go alone? Won't you explain to my father then?" Hearing this, Qin Daoxian glanced at her speechlessly, and directly refused to answer. Here is less than 10,000 miles at the foot of Tianzuan Mountain. With the strength of Wuha Tianzuan, it is no different from being under his nose. What does it have to do with Qin Daoxian when his daughter is in danger under his nose? Seeing that Qin Daoxian was ignoring her, Ran Lingxi snorted and drove away. Watching Ran Lingxi leave, Qin Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that he is really not suitable for taking children, especially such a child with a deep background and a quirky temperament. After parting ways with Ran Lingxi, Qin Daoxian directly found someone to inquire about the location of the Chuanbao Pavilion, and then flew over with an escape light. The Chuanbao Pavilion here is the same as the Chuanbao Pavilion in the Fengyun realm. As soon as Qin Daoxian stepped into the Chuanbao Pavilion, he welcomed a 5-star Taoist soldier to receive him. This 5-star Taoist soldier looks like a scholar with a white face and no beard, and he looks quite kind. Chuanbao Pavilion is good at receiving guests with Taoist soldiers, which is also a major feature of it. Other similar stores want to do this but they can't imitate it. You must know that although the humanoid soldiers have extremely high intelligence, it is not an easy thing to ask them to do business well. Human race cultivators still suffer losses when doing business, not to mention Dao soldiers. "Friend Daoist is polite, I don't know if you are buying treasures or..." The scholar Daobing glanced at Qin Daoxian, smiled and bowed his hands to him. "Buy treasures." Hearing this, the smile on the scholar's face became even bigger. "I don't know what treasures you want to buy. I want to buy spirituality." "It is good." The scholar Daobing knew that the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm in front of him must have reached the level of the creation realm and wanted to analyze his spirituality in order to create a new spiritual life. After thinking about it, the scholar Daobing continued to sell. "We Chuanbao Pavilion still have a lot of experience in breaking through the 5th layer of the world realm to the creation realm. I wonder if you need it?" "Oh." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian's eyes suddenly lit up. He is currently stuck at the level of the creation realm and cannot make any progress. Hearing this good news suddenly, there is no reason not to be excited. It's not that he forgot about this, but in his inherent thinking, the experience of breaking through to the creation realm is extremely precious, and I am afraid that no force is willing to sell it easily. But he forgot that this is the inner territory of the 2 realms abyss, and it is at the foot of the Tianzuan Mountain, the core of the inner territory world, not the Phoenix Meteor realm. The things that are extremely precious to the major forces in the Phoenix Meteor world are nothing near Tianzuan Mountain. Can't you see that there is a group of human gods living on Tianzuan Mountain, which is less than 10,000 miles away? The experience of the mere creation realm is nothing to the Tianzuan on Tianzuan Mountain. Besides, those who can come here are all people who have a great relationship with Tianzuan. The Chuanbao Pavilion is here to sell the experience of breaking through to the creation state, which is a normal thing." Wanting to understand this level, Qin Daoxian couldn't wait to ask, "Do you still have the experience of breaking through the various levels of the world?" "I want all of them." "Ah, good." The scholar Daobing was stunned for a moment, then replied with a smile. After purchasing what he wanted, Qin Daoxian left Chuanbao Pavilion happily. Leaving the Chuanbao Pavilion, Qin Daoxian went straight back to the inn where he stayed. As soon as he stepped into the inn, Qin Daoxian plunged into the secret room and retreated again. If Ran Lingxi saw this scene, she would probably be speechless. Qin Daoxian agreed that Jingji CMO and went out to relax, but he ended up retreating and practicing on the way. Of course, Qin Daoxian couldn't care about other people's thoughts. Since he knew that Wuhe Tianzuan had selected a large number of recommended monks in the creation realm, Qin Daoxian felt great pressure. Compared with those monks who have reached the creation realm, Qin Daoxian's cultivation base is the lowest, only at the 5th level of the world realm. It is said that his strength is not weak, but this is an opportunity to break through the tribulation period, and reaching the realm of creation is the most basic requirement. Even if Wuhe Tianzuan values him again, it is impossible to give the opportunity to break through the tribulation period to a monk on the 5th floor of the world. This is no longer valued but disregarding the rules. Qin Daoxian is not important enough to make Wuhe Tianzuan ignore the rules, and besides, other Tianzuan will not agree with Wuhe Tianzuan's behavior. In the secret room, Qin Daoxian quickly took out the experience of creation that he bought from Chuanbao Pavilion. Compared with the world realm, the biggest difference between the creation realm and the world realm lies in the creation of spiritual life. When the monk's world has been promoted to a certain level, it has been able to accommodate spiritual life. At this time, the creation of spiritual life in the world it has opened up means that the world level has been completely sublimated. Therefore, when you reach this realm, it is somewhat inappropriate to call it the world realm. So the monks called it the creation realm. Creation of creation refers to the creation of all things. Of course, creating all things is too exaggerated, and the monks who have just entered the realm of creation simply cannot achieve it. For monks who want to cross the threshold of creation, the creation of spiritual life is the key to the upgrading of the world. To create spiritual life, you must first create spirituality. For more than a year, Qin Daoxian has tried countless times to create spiritual life without using spirituality, trying to take shortcuts, but all failed. It was only then that he realized that the path of cultivation had been trampled on by countless predecessors, and how could he, a latecomer, be able to walk if he wanted to take shortcuts? In desperation, Qin Daoxian could only honestly start by analyzing the spirituality created by other cultivators in the creation realm, and try to break through to the creation realm little by little. Now that I think about it, the 12-year contract between Wuhe Tianzuan and him is more to inspire him. It is estimated that even Wuhe Tianzuan did not expect Qin Daoxian to break through to the creation realm within 12 years. And the opportunity to break through to the calamity period can only happen once in 1,000 years in the Guangyuan world. Qin Daoxian realized later that Wuhe Tianzuan was asking him to wait for the next opportunity. 1,000 years. Qin Daoxian couldn't wait. Besides, if it is 1,000 years, he himself has absolute certainty to break through to the transcending tribulation period, so he does not need this chance. Now for Qin Daoxian, if he breaks through to the creation realm within 12 years, he will be able to take advantage of this shareholder wind to soar and quickly advance to the transcending tribulation period. Otherwise, relying on himself, it may take more than 100 years or even hundreds of years to be promoted to the transcendence period. Now that the calamity of the demons is getting worse and worse, Qin Daoxian certainly doesn't want to wait any longer. For him, the stronger the strength, the more he can protect the people he wants to protect. In the secret room, Qin Daoxian sat cross-legged, and each jade slip was quickly browsed by him. With the blessing of 100 times more understanding, these complicated experiences flowed in his heart like a trickle, nourishing his barren heart. I do not know how long it has been. Qin Daoxian raised his head. So spirituality is like this. According to the experience of the cultivators in the creation realm, not only is each spiritual life unique, but the spirituality created by each creation realm cultivator is also different. It's like the 1,000 points of spirituality he bought from the Chuanbao Pavilion came from 3 cultivators in the creation realm. Because judging from the breath and verve emanating from these spiritualities, it is obvious that there are 3 different spiritualities. Qin Daoxian carefully controlled a little spirituality to float in front of him. He concentrated his consciousness to the maximum extent and observed the difference in spirituality little by little. From the outside, spirituality is completely different from the power of creation. The appearance of the power of creation is like a drop of water, while the spirituality is a light spot. It is invisible and intangible, and it seems that it does not exist in the dimension in front of you, but a creation of a higher dimension. But as Qin Daoxian's consciousness was highly concentrated, the spirituality in front of him was magnified by him a little bit. 100 times, 10,000 times, 1,000,000 times. In Qin Daoxuan's consciousness, this light spot was the size of a grain of rice at first, and then it became like a lantern. In the end it was like a star. And Qin Daoxian stood quietly in front of the star, and he finally discovered the countless lines on the star. Just looking at it, Qin Daoxian felt dizzy for a while. This is the spiritual origin that the cultivator of the creation realm said. When he wanted to see more, his consciousness felt tired for a while, and in desperation Qin Daoxian chose to withdraw from this state. Although the divine consciousness had withdrawn from that wonderful state, the excitement on Qin Daoxuan's face remained undiminished, because he finally tore a crack in front of the level of creation realm and saw the dawn of breakthrough, which is the most rare thing. Of course, this is also related to the continuous improvement of his cultivation base and the continuous enhancement of his consciousness. Speaking of which, Qin Daoxian hadn't focused much on cultivating the Xinhai chapter, since he practiced for a while 6 years ago. But this time he finally realized that if he wanted to make a breakthrough in spirituality, he had to rely on a strong sense of consciousness. Although his divine sense is quite strong when looking at the fifth layer Daojun of the world, it can only be said to be of average level. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian had another clear goal in his heart, cultivating the Divine Sea chapter. But before that, Qin Daoxian intends to continue to practice dividing the sea. In fact, the chapter on dividing the sea is not only the basis of astral technique, but also helps him to judge how strong his spiritual consciousness is. There are different ways for monks to judge the strength of their own consciousness. When the cultivation base is low, the judgment method is relatively simple and crude, that is, try to extend the coverage of the consciousness, and see how wide the coverage of the consciousness is, and then the strength of the consciousness can be judged. But in the Yuanshan stage, very few monks took this approach. Because primordial spirit cultivator's consciousness can cover thousands of miles at every turn, such a powerful spiritual consciousness is completely covered, which is simply a disaster for low-level cultivators. Although divine consciousness coverage generally does not affect low-level cultivators, that is when the gap between the two sides is not large. If the gap between the two sides is too large, such as the actions of Yuanshan Daojun, it will have a huge impact on qi refining and foundation-building cultivators, not to mention the full extension of divine consciousness. Therefore, Qin Daoxian doesn't know how strong his divine sense is now. He only knows that his divine sense is a lot stronger than when he was in Yaoguang City. As for judging from the scope of the sea of consciousness, now Qin Daoxian is a little confused about how wide his sea of consciousness is. Anyway, looking around, it is boundless. In the past, when the range of the sea of consciousness was small, he could still use the shrouded range of the consciousness to judge, but the scope of the current shroud of the consciousness is too broad, and it is difficult for him to determine the scope of the sea of consciousness. At least in the Shenhuang realm, Qin Daoxuan's consciousness can easily cover it, which also means that the coverage of Qin Daoxuan's consciousness has exceeded 300,000 miles. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian didn't hesitate. He practiced the dividing the sea again. The last time he was in Yaoguang City, he cultivated the dividing the sea to 1,320 thoughts. At this moment, his thoughts are like diamond stars, one by one dotted in the sky above the sea of consciousness, emitting bright rays of light. Now, his divine sense is stronger, and the scope of the divine sea has risen and become wider. Therefore, he intends to attack 1,800 thoughts again. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 490. Looking at the vast sea of divine, Qin Daoxian once again performed the method in dividing the sea, continued to cut the sea of divine and united his thoughts. As time passed by little, one after another, the bright and diamond-like thoughts were successfully condensed by him. Knowing the sea in the sky, the number of thoughts keeps increasing. 1,400, 1,500, 1,600. The further back, the smaller the remaining area of Xinhai, Qin Daoxian once again felt the huge pressure. He was afraid that this time, like the last time, the success would fail. But after thinking about it, even if it fails this time, it will only expand the divine sea again, and the thoughts that have been condensed will not disappear. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxuan's nervous mood gradually subsided. 1,650, 1,700, 1,710. The further back you go, the slower and slower the speed of gathering your thoughts and the more pressure you have. Looking at the few remaining divine seas, Qin Daoxian felt that it was not impossible for him to succeed. Simply, he endured the tear-like pain in the sea of knowledge and continued to gather his thoughts. As for the injury of the sea of consciousness, Qin Daoxian didn't take it to heart at all. Anyway, he had the Hongming Enlightenment Classic to recover the injury of the sea of consciousness. The sea of consciousness trauma, which is extremely troublesome to others, is nothing to Qin Daoxian. 1790, 1791, 1792. Qin Daoxian's consciousness at this moment has gradually blurred, but his will is like a sharp sword, constantly severing the pain and weakness from the sea of consciousness. In the sea of knowledge, the golden scriptures are also helping him suppress the sea of knowledge that will collapse at any time. However, Qin Daoxian couldn't see all of this. He only had one belief now, that is, to condense his thoughts into 1,800 pieces, to achieve the foundation of cultivating the astral technique. 1,700 is 1,799. At the last moment, Qin Daoxian's consciousness was blurred for a while, and then he was unconscious. I do not know how long it has been. Qin Daoxian woke up faintly. In the storage ring, the messenger is flashing frantically. Qin Daoxian didn't bother to check, he immediately sat cross-legged and silently recited the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. As the Hongmeng Enlightenment Sutra was recited, the pain in the sea of consciousness slowly dissipated. Once, twice, 3 times. Qin Daoxian has been reciting the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic 10 times, and this finally calmed down the injury in the sea of knowledge. As soon as the sea of consciousness recovered, he couldn't wait to look at the bright starry sky above the sea of consciousness. 1-2. 1799, 1800. A look of excitement suddenly appeared on Qin Daoxian's face. He waved his fist fiercely and roared, "Success!" No wonder he was excited, it was really not easy to practice the dividing the sea. 1,800 thoughts is a huge hurdle. If you want to break through this level, the vastness of the sea of divine is just the foundation, and the cultivator must have strong tenacity and be able to endure the pain of 1,800 thoughts. Fortunately, Qin Daoxian succeeded. Cultivating dividing the sea to this level also means that Qin Daoxian can officially start practicing astral art. Astral art is praised by the white-robed Taoist as a method that directly points to the avenue. Although Qin Daoxian accepted an inheritance, he only had a general understanding of the situation after the entry of astral technique. There is a summary in the general outline of listening the stars, which is, the stars in the sky are listed in the Zhou-Tian, the stars in the Zhou-Tian are listed in the self. This canopy does not refer to other things, but to the kendo map of stars and stars that Qin Daoxian has long owned. The complete meaning is that Qin Daoxian needs to integrate these 1,800 thoughts into 1,800 immortal swords, and then let these 1,800 pure yang immortal swords list the stars in the star formation in the star kendo diagram. Then, borrowing the Zhou-Tian Xingqian Great Array, he concentrated the power of the Xingqian Kendo map and 1,800 immortal swords on him alone. This method is rumored to be created by a top-notch powerful cultivator in the prehistoric world after watching the first great formation in ancient times, Zhou Tianxingdu, but he replaced Zhou Tianxingqian with the pure yang immortal sword. Theoretically speaking, the power of a low-grade fairy sword is of course inferior to that of Zhou Tianxingqian. But the power of the immortal sword is constantly improving with the improvement of the grade. What about the best fairy sword? If not, what about Lingbao? Therefore, in theory, with the Divine Sea chapter and Divine Sea chapter, the power of this astral technique is almost endless. It is no exaggeration to be called by the white-robed Taoist as the way to point directly to the avenue. But Qin Daoxian was in trouble. He needed 1,800 pure yang fairy swords to practice this astral art. How could he get so many pure yang fairy weapons? Isn't this bullshit? Although Chuanbao Pavilion has always claimed that they have pure yang fairy artifacts to sell, even Chuanbao Pavilion cannot come up with 1,800 pure yang immortal artifacts. After all, things like immortal artifacts are all left by the ancient real immortals. It can be said that one less is used. Now the human race has almost no ability to refine immortal artifacts. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian could only temporarily extinguish his thoughts of cultivating the astral technique. However, his gains this time have been large enough. One is seeing the source of spirituality and figuring out how to break through the realm of creation. The second is naturally to cultivate the dividing the sea chapter to the level of 1,800 thoughts, reaching the minimum standard for practicing astrology. With these 2 harvests, Qin Daoxian only needs to move the Shenhuang realm to the inner world, and this trip is considered a complete success. After thinking about it, Qin Daoxian took out the communication talisman from the storage ring. The divine sense penetrated into the communication talisman, and for a moment, Qin Daoxian withdrew the divine sense with a somewhat embarrassed expression. Boom dash! With the opening of the cave, Qin Daoxian saw Ran Lingxi outside the mansion. At this moment, Ran Lingxi's face was full of anger. Sorry, I got something occasionally and it took a little longer to cultivate. Qin Daoxian just pinched his fingers and calculated that he had been in retreat for more than half a year. One can imagine how long Ran Lingxi outside the cave had waited for him. Ran Lingxi wanted to get angry, but seeing that Qin Daoxian was so focused on cultivation, thinking that every time he practiced he was fishing in troubled waters, and he couldn't help but lose his temper. She said feebly, "Didn't you promise my father to take me to watch the moving of the Shenhuang realm? You can't talk without counting." Qin Daoxian nodded. What Qin said will naturally count. After leaving the immortal city of the Buddha, the 2 of them did not swim in the mountains and waters, but flew straight to the outside of the Guangyuan realm. Opening the void passage, Qin Daoxian stepped out towards the dark void passage. Behind her, Ran Lingxi was a little nervous, but as soon as she gritted her teeth, she followed behind Qin Daoxian and stepped into the void passage. Passing through the void passage, and when Ran Lingxi's sight recovered, the 2 had come outside the Guangyuan realm. Standing outside the Guangyuan realm. For the first time, Ran Lingxi stood from an external perspective and looked at the world she had lived in for hundreds of years. It's so big and so bright. Ran Lingxi murmured. Immediately she pointed to the countless light spots in the inner world and said, "Are those worlds created by monks in the world?" Qin Daoxian nodded. "I didn't expect our inner world to be so colorful, it's the first time I've seen it." As if thinking of something, Ran Lingxi turned her head. "By the way, I heard that you came from Fengyun realm. How is that world? Is it more exciting than Guangyuan realm?" Qin Daoxian thought of the endless wars between the various forces in the Fengyun realm, and shook his head. The Fengyun realm is much more chaotic than the Guangyuan realm. That's it. Ran Lingxi lowered her head, then raised her head again. "But I still want to go and see. I heard from my father that he also came from Fengyun realm, and the monks in our inner world are also from Fengyun realm. Meteor world, there is the root of our human race." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was silent. After a long time he replied, "Do you know what the root of the human race is? Isn't the place where our human race originated from our roots?" Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was disappointed for a while and said, "You are right, but unfortunately we can't keep the roots of this human race." "Is it because of the world demon?" Ran Lingxi said with a gloomy expression, "Unfortunately my aptitude is dull, although my father gave me an excellent cultivation environment, but I just can't compare to those talented monks. Do you know how much I envy you when I saw that you were chosen by my dad as a candidate recommendation?" Ran Lingxi paused. "Others say that I have a good father and I don't have to fight the battlefield outside the territory, but I would rather not be the daughter of Tianzuan, and I don't want to stay in the cage of Tianzuan Mountain and wait to die." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian gradually felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't speak. Everyone has their own way of living. Compared with the countless scattered cultivators in the Fengyun world, Ran Lingxi was born in the sky. She wants to be free, but she doesn't know that there are countless bottom-level loose cultivators who are willing to use everything she has to exchange with Ran Lingxi. Ran Lingxi's sigh, in Qin Daoxian's eyes, is more like moaning. She was born in a honey pot, and she still wants to go to the cruel environment outside to see it. Maybe only when she really sees the cruel environment outside, will she feel how happy her life is at the moment. Ignoring Ran Lingxi, Qin Daoxian took out a map of the inner domain from the storage ring. This picture was purchased from Chuanbao Pavilion before he left. You must know that although the inner world is extremely vast, the world in this realm is also extremely exaggerated. This can be seen from the star-like light spots in the inner domain. Each of these light spots represents a world. With so many light spots, one can imagine how many worlds there are in the inner domain. Therefore, Qin Daoxian of course had to figure out which area was suitable for him to place the Shenhuang realm. Because after he placed the Shenhuang realm, it is not the end. The Shenhuang realm will continue to expand in the future. If there are many worlds in the area he chooses, he will have to move at that time. In view of this, Qin Daoxian directly went to Chuanbao Pavilion to buy a map of the world of the inner domain, so that he could choose a suitable boundary. Seeing Qin Daoxian ignoring her, Ran Lingxi was looking at the boundary map, and her face suddenly became puffed up. Half an hour. Seeing that Qin Daoxian was still looking at the picture carefully, Ran Lingxi couldn't help but said, "Don't stare at the realm near the Guangyuan realm. The area closer to the Guangyuan realm has long been divided up by the major top forces. You should go to the periphery, have a look." "Is that so?" Qin Daoxian suddenly realized. "Thank you, Fairy Lingxi, for reminding me." Ran Lingxi suddenly felt very tired, and waved her hand to indicate that she did not want to talk to Qin Daoxian. According to Ran Lingxi's ideas, Qin Daoxian searched for the outer area centered on Guangyuan realm, and finally found a suitable location. "Hey, this position you chose. What's wrong?" Qin Daoxian said in surprise. "The location you chose is very close to Tianzuan City." "Tianzuan City?" "Yes, Tianzuan City." Ran Lingxi said, "Tianzuan City is the largest of the 81 main cities of our human race, and it is also the closest main city to the inner world. We all call it the last line of defense of the human race." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian had a new understanding of Tianzuan City. Unexpectedly, Tianzuan City is not only the largest main city of the human race, but also the closest main city to Guangyuan realm. Qin Daoxian has long known that the so-called main city and acropolis built in the ancient years are actually pure Yang fairy artifacts refined by the ancient real immortals. These pure Yang immortal artifacts are combined together to build an extremely huge formation. The human race cultivator relied on this supergiant formation to resist the invasion of the world monster and defend the human race. The ancient real immortals have exhausted their minds for the sake of the human race. Seeing that Ran Lingxi knew so many fortunate secrets, Qin Daoxian couldn't help but inquire about the news and asked, "There are 81 main cities in the human race, and each main city is guarded by the 8 tribulations heavenly venerate?" "Who knows, Ran Lingxi stinky fart? You ask me. I won't tell you." Hehe. Seeing this, Qin Daoxian was powerless to complain. Seeing that Qin Daoxian stopped talking, Ran Lingxi said again, "What's wrong? Are you angry?" "Fairy Lingxi, let's get to this area as soon as possible. After finishing this matter, I have to go back to retreat and the time is short." After speaking, he took Ran Lingxi to the light boat without any explanation. In front of Qin Daoxian, Ran Lingxi naturally had no power to resist. She couldn't help but angrily said, "Why are you like this, and also, don't you really think that you can compete for the chance to advance to the Tribulation Transcendence stage this time? My father brought you here because he wanted to train you, but you are more likely to wait for the next batch of promotions, and the next batch will have to wait for 1,000 years. What are you anxious about?" Hearing this, Qin Daoxian nodded, "I know. You know you're in such a hurry." Ran Lingxi rolled her eyes. "It's fine if you don't accompany me to the demon fighting arena, and let me wait for you outside for several months. It's just 1,000 years too long. I can't wait." "Why can't you wait?" Ran Lingxi's eyes widened. "You are the 5th level Taoist of the world realm, with 10,000 years of life. What does 1,000 years mean to you?" Qin Daoxian shook his head. "The world demon will not give me another 1,000 years. The world monster." Ran Lingxi was silent. To her, world demon was a familiar and unfamiliar word. Said to be familiar, she has seen countless world demons in the demon fighting arena. But speaking of unfamiliarity, she has never really seen a world demon on an extraterritorial battlefield. She couldn't imagine that the world demon could force her father, who she thought was omnipotent, to die. Seeing that Ran Lingxi finally quieted down, Qin Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. This time back, even if Wuha Tianzuan personally came forward, he would not bring this living ancestor out again. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website. WAP. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.